Hey guys, and welcome back to the Nerditude Movie Podcast. We're here for another week of movie reviews, and we've got two great ones. So the first movie is called Blood Vessel. It's a delightful movie that we are going to talk about. It's so great.
I don't know if I
Can,
would.
can you say that with that? Can you say that with like a Russian accent? Blood vessel.
The blood vessel.
Yeah, I can't. Matt's king of the Russian.
You know what the
accents. I
problem
just
is? Is
do it.
like even like it's one of those movies where I expect at some point that one of the characters to be like, "We are on a blood vessel," like you know what I mean? Like, it's not a great movie. We'll go into it. I feel
but
that we are trapped
It
on
was a
the
fantastic movie.
blood vessel. It's more
It's,
Transylvanian.
The second movie is Death Sentence.
6 degrees
which
of bacon.
I guess we're kind of keeping in a theme of like I don't know what would you think, like Running Scared,
Well,
Death Sentence.
Death Sentence is a traditional revenge flick. Running Scared's like a race against the clock, but very close together. Like the problem is they were filmed kind of close together, so like the similarities in styling are not as extreme in Death Sentence, but there's some comparisons.
I thought you were talking about the two movies today. I was going to say, yeah, they both have two-word titles.
The syllables, Johnny, the syllables.
But yeah, so let's jump into. See, normally the first movie is like let's jump into the main feature, but that would be painful for me to call this movie a main feature. But this movie, it's called Blood Vessel.
The one that we got on Shudder. That
yeah,
we're starving for content, Shudder. We're watching this shit.
Okay, so to be fair, when I saw this, I was like, okay, Nazi horror movie called Blood Vessel. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean the ingredients are there.
Also, when I saw the studio that made it, Wicked of Oz, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. You know, they're using
even their animation's cool. Like
I thought it was gonna be a great little thing to watch. But yeah,
that's all the money went to the studio's logo.
Yeah, right.
But I'll get through the intro for this quick because there's not much on this film. It was released this year. It came out in 2019 through like low releases, but it was actually got a wide release this year. And this movie runtime is and this is a good one, 133 minutes.
Was it that long?
Yes.
I did watch it over 2 nights. So.
The movie starts around 52 minutes.
Yeah.
So for budget and box office, I couldn't find anything on this.
Once again, this is a movie where the budget consisted of the catering for the crew.
And the poster, I guess.
And the explosion at the end. Another one, just like the goddamn Shed, where the entire budget of the movie goes to the fucking explosion at the end. I'm tired of it. Make a better movie.
Those pyrotechnic guys are not cheap.
Seriously, stop giving... There's dudes out there like Danny McBride in Tropic Thunder. And that's why these movies are happening like this. They're just like, blow shit up! And then there's half the budget.
But it kind of like said something that like it led up to, it made you know that it was going to happen at the end because they smelled gas right off the bat. They used gas later on, and then at the end they blew it up.
We'll jump into that. Let me just get the cast out of the way because there's not really anyone notable in this fucking film, but there is someone who is from the show Vikings, Alyssa Sutherland, who may or may not be related to Kiefer Sutherland.
She's not. Clearly not.
We don't know that yet.
There's no. I looked it up. They're not related. They're third cousins, sir. You look it up again. I think she's even British. Like they're not related.
Yeah. Here's my quick fire, like see it or don't see it, and then we can jump into everything. Don't see it.
No.
So with that out of the way, Matt, you actually started this before we had even picked it. Do you wanna jump in?
Yeah, I mean it's for such a. I didn't realize it was so long. Like for such a long movie.
Yeah.
That just means there's a lot of the spaces in this movie of them like slowly walking through corridors.
Yeah, there's a lot of nothing.
Like I didn't realize it was that long. Yeah, that's the. I mean, the overall problem with it is, there's not a whole lot of action or really tense situations or anything like that. B, when it does kick in, it's majorly a letdown. I mean, there's between the budget constraints, which once again presumably were cold fucking turkey sandwiches for the cast and crew, because it's the problem with this movie is it looks like a B movie film circa 2005, and when people can make movies on an iPhone 11, that's not acceptable. And I guess that's the overall, like, it's too much of a B movie, but it's not. It shouldn't be.
You didn't find the action at the first 10 minutes to be fucking awesome?
Oh God,
Alex, would you like to describe your captain? That's what I'm presuming that's what you mean, the captain.
Oh God,
he I don't know what he was the captain of, man. But
he's a captain of dipshittery and lack of conditioning. Okay, that's what he's the captain of.
They go through the whole thing of showing every single person, and you kind of see that they're all from different parts of the world and shit. Just from looking at them, which they got that part pretty cool.
Which was confusing because I'm like, American, that's an Australian accent, that's British.
No, even before they even said anything,
you
could tell by their clothes.
But what boat were they on where they all came together in the same fucking raft? Like, that's not how it works. Like, you don't have the United Nations touring together. I was wondering. I was like, how did all these like what circumstances?
It was a medical boat.
To me, it felt like a bunch of randomly generated characters just appeared on this boat.
Yes,
and we're like, "You're in this movie now."
They were playing an MMO, and they're like, "Well,
it's the reset spawn."
It's literally the new Jumanjis, where it's like, "Oh fuck, I'm the Rock today." You know what I mean? Like, what the hell happened? Sorry, Alex. Go on about the wonderful Capitan.
In the first 10 minutes, he's the one that starts taking over, and you don't realize that he is the captain until somebody makes the reference that he is. But he's kind of like not making the right decisions. They hear a boat.
Well, nobody's doing anything. Like, they're literally staring at the boat coming in like, should we do something? And then they start banging on it. And there's the Russian
Should we paddle a little bit?
Yeah.
Should we paddle a little bit just so we're not in the front of it?
Like, that's the thing is, like, I don't care if it's a ghost ship, big-ass fucking ship, little tiny boat raft, maybe do something, you know? Like, I understand you're famished.
But, yeah, so the captain guy, he gets confronted by a couple of people to either shut up or keep doing or whatever, try to save themselves. So he finally gets the idea that they're going to try to, get on the ship because they tried banging and it didn't work.
Yeah, when they're already 75% of the way past.
Yeah, so he takes out the rifle and he's aiming at the thing, trying to create some kind of line so they could tow themselves in or whatever. And as he's fucking missing because he sucks, they've got, I guess, a prisoner that's injured, and he's a Russian. Yeah, like, I don't know what he's a captain
with
of.
that aim, like, what was it? Like, are you Captain Kangaroo?
Well, again, I think it was a medical boat because they've got all these injured people on there that they're trying to take care of.
But that's
so maybe he was just the captain of a medical.
Is the Russian a prisoner?
They don't explain. But Russian,
he's not a prisoner, but he's not an ally.
Well, the Russians were allies, though. They weren't allies, but they were fighting the Nazi front. So,
Yeah, but to them, they still weren't an ally.
Yeah, and he's the only one in the movie I liked. He's the only one in the entire movie that I was like, I kind of like.
He's also the only person that notices something on the ship that's not right at the beginning. He sees a fucking white figure.
We got to finish up the captain's tale because it's not much longer.
So they go through the whole thing of trying to shoot the fucking line to get some kind of way to tow themselves either into it or whatever. They use the fucking.
He's just firing in the air, and you're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And then the Russian steps in. He says, "How many shots you have left?" And he's like, "Oh, one." So he's like, "Okay." He's like, "You're gonna let the sniper? You're gonna let the sniper use it?" He's like, "What you gonna do? Shoot us all with one fucking bullet?" So
fucking Russian Martin Riggs is basically his character.
Yeah, so he goes through his whole little spiel, opening the gun, and this whole time that they're fucking drifting along, which they should have passed the boat already.
Anytime now. We're kind of fucked soon. Anytime now.
So he reloads it and he fucking takes his aim. He gets his good shot. The cable falls down, which that cable could have cut them fucking massive because it was a thick.
So I thought of Ghost Ship when that happened.
Yeah.
When in the beginning, I was like, "Oh," and I I was thinking, like, in my head, I was like, man, that's a cool scene. Like, that's how much I didn't like this movie, that it's reminding me of better movie scenes. Like, I'm literally watching it and just like, I wish this was Ghost Ship right now. Sorry, go on.
So they find their way. The Russian guy actually climbs up the fucking cable, and they're holding onto the cable so they keep themselves from drifting away. They think he's going to disappear. Or actually, two of the guys think he's going to disappear because he's a Russian. And then he actually throws him a ladder. They all go up one by one, and there's some fucking weird guy, Faraday. But yeah, he finally gets up there, and the captain's the last to go up because he's the one that sticks around for the boats, right? That's what happens with the captains. They go down with their ships.
Fucking whatever. Noodle Arms Montgomery.
He's the first fucking death because he doesn't know how to fucking climb a ladder rope.
He's just a weak bastard. Like that's why I said he's the captain of like nothing.
The fucking nerdy guy with one arm climbed the fucking rope better than he did.
Yeah, which is he's just like, they don't ever explain what secrets he has either. He's just like, I've got secrets. I'm important. I need the rations, and it's like, all right. Maybe.
Yeah, he was also hiding. He was also hiding rations in his arm, and he was able to climb with one arm and fucking hide food.
Yet once again, Noodle Arms Montgomery's flapping in the wind. They're trying to pull his fucking ass in, and there's this, and it's not even like in Cliffhanger. It's all tense, and it's like zooming on each other's eyes, and then the fists.
Yeah.
In this, it's just like, I can't do it, and he's like, no, Captain, no, and then but I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says something to the effect. He says something to the effect of "Damn you, Captain" or some shit like that, and then that's when the fucking it snaps.
Yeah, and they don't just let you
sucked in the propeller.
Yeah, they don't let you assume he dies. They show his dumb body entering the propeller and turning into bloody tuna and filling the water with. It's such an unnecessary death. It's comical.
They chum the water.
Yeah, like. And the whole time I'm like, when they're getting towards the end of the boat initially, I'm like, that blade's gonna get you if anybody falls in. Be careful. And then sure enough, El Capitan, fucking Noodle Arms Montgomery, right in the fucker. And that's the first, literally that's the only bit of action you get for the next 45 minutes of movie.
Yeah. That was like 9 minutes, and then it was like, oh cool, the first death is going to pick up from here.
When I saw that, I was like, maybe this movie's going to be really gory, because they just propellered the dude to death for no fucking reason. So let's see.
So there's the story of the captain.
From there, a whole lot of nothing takes place.
Well, there you have it. That's your story of Noodle Arms Montgomery.
Well, there was some things that happened up, and I got aggravated with their accents because they weren't syncing up right. I don't know if you noticed.
The Australian mate was Sir
Mate.
He was a good mate.
Their accents kind of like drifted off sometimes, and then they went back to their how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then the dialogue between the two Americans pissed me off a little bit.
Well, it's because the script essentially said, like, be a caricature of the character that we chose you to be.
Well, it's almost like, hey, have you guys played, like, Strange Brigade or Left 4 Dead? Be one of those characters. That's all we need you to do. Like, be an archetype. The Americans were frustrating because, like, at first it's like these guys are friends. Like, you could tell they're like, tight. And then they're not tight. And then they're, like, super tight, like brothers tight. Their dynamic just was stupid.
Yeah, it took me till the end of the movie to realize that the one guy's name is Bigelow, and I think the other one is Jackson, I think.
I called them Death 2 and 3, so I don't give two shits. Over the course of the next 40 minutes or so, they make their way into the engine room, and they start to separate and kind of go into different areas of the ship. And one of them is the boiler room area where the one American figures out that they need to shut the whole thing down, otherwise they could pop the boiler. And then anybody else wanted, because I'm falling asleep describing this fucking movie. Anybody else
I did. There was something I did like when they did get to the captain's fucking shit. I just drew a blank on what it's called.
Oh yeah, okay. His quarters.
The wheelhouse. Yeah, when they went to the wheelhouse,
they find him. There's your sign, by the way.
Well, no, the wheelhouse when they were the engine room when they were trying to just see and they find the one body there.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like spidered off, like the veins.
But like at that point,
I found that cool. But for the type of movie this is, it shouldn't have been that.
Well, see, that's the other thing is they don't explain any of the mythology behind the creatures. So like they're presumably vampires, but there's also weird like shit like that. And then the other thing is like they just don't tell the other people that they find the body.
No.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
We'll
what?
keep this our secret.
Like, I just shot him dead.
What do you benefit? Okay. What do you benefit from hiding something like that from you guys that were already stranded?
Like, there's no... Okay, this is a Nazi warship, and there's no Nazis running around, or anybody for that matter, and then you find a weird fossilized dead body, and you don't like a little bit? Like, hey...
They're just like, oh, the Nazis were into weird shit anyway.
Yeah, so. These are cultists. Like, how dumb... Like, that's what I'm saying. These can't even be soldiers. Like, all of these people are like hippies or something that they all were on the same ship, and they're not even real soldiers. They dressed up as different nations of soldiers, and their ship got cast off or like it's Gilligan's fucking Island or something, because there's no way any of them besides maybe the Russian are actual soldiers.
They were on the ship for a free tour, and all of a sudden a war broke out. No, a war broke out, so they got shipped off with the ship because they didn't have enough time to evacuate the civilians.
Hey mate, this is a costume. Oh, great. Yeah, so Lewis, you wanna bring us up to the point where shit does start to kick in?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yeah. So basically, they Scooby-Doo their way around this fucking boat because essentially the director found a cool boat
to
but not a lot to do with it. So
it's my dad's boat.
There's basically a lot of like walking around, discovering certain rooms, and I will admit, like the bodies they find, like that scene where it's spidered off, it's very like
reminiscent of The Thing almost.
Yeah, The Thing. And if you're watching this movie for the first time, you're like, oh shit, this is going slow, but like there's some cool shit coming.
There's got to be something that's going to happen.
Yeah, and then they do come across this little girl. And immediately when this little girl starts to act crazy, I just hear Matt in my head like I would have just decked her or thrown her.
She's below she's below my waist. I could kick her in the fucking head.
As soon as I saw her like blackened fucking raccoon eyes, I would have punched her skull in. Fuck that. There's all these fossilized bodies, and this little girl's able to run around. At the minimum, I'm snapping her kneecaps. I'm not playing it.
As soon as I saw the girl with the mask on, the first thing that popped in my head was, "Are you my mommy?" Oh, it's from fucking Doctor Who. Fucking.
I actually do know that reference.
All right.
I don't even watch Doctor Who. Goddamn popular culture.
But you slowly start to get the sense because this girl says she's looking for her parents. She's acting really weird. And she leads them to it's somewhere not in the boiler room, but it's somewhere towards the lower decks.
Well, that's the other thing is you could speed this movie up and put the Benny Hill music to it. Like as much fucking back and forth in the corridors of this ship there are.
The movie could have been a short.
It would have been much better, I think, if you would have Monty Pythoned it that way. Yeah, well, they kind of like meander through the ship. You know, like I said, some of them are in the boiler room, some of them are captain's quarters, some of them, they all kind of make their way to converge together because they come upon basically the storage room with all the
storage room in the lower decks.
Yeah, which has, you know, like occultic, you know, it shows all, basically they have the caskets of these fucking creatures, whatever they're supposed to be. Once again, the mythology isn't explained. Not really.
Yeah, they have the coffins, the gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've got all
kinds of treacherous type shit.
You know, basically all those things that Hellboy alluded to. This movie was like, hey, let's make them shittier, and it did that.
Well, so I can actually get into the bit of the mythology because I'm familiar with the Striegel, what it's based off of. But what this movie does with it is terrible.
Well, or doesn't do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the big fucking bats.
Yeah, but essentially you very, I was going to say slowly, you very, very slowly start to piece together that the artifacts and things that the Nazis had on this boat possibly are the reason why no one is on the boat. And the girl eventually leads them to open this door that I believe a Nazi crew member is behind. I don't get the sense he's speaking German.
There is a German crew member that's still there.
He's somebody that was on the ship, but he's definitely German.
He locked himself.
I think if you translated what he said, it'd probably be like "shoot that little bitch" or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't speak German.
Yeah, I mean,
I watched it with subtitles, and he did say something about "shoot the monster."
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the only one that fucking makes sense is a Nazi in the movie. Son of a bitch.
Who would have known? Listen to the Nazis.
He's the only.
That's a joke.
Somebody's take that out of context and fucking clip it. Listen to the Nazi. Listen to the Nazi. Listen to the Nazi. You're gonna become a fucking remix before you know
it. Another note, they were big occultists, right? The Nazi regime. They were like all about finding
that's
artifacts,
the
and
that's where like movies like Hellboy and shit get the inspiration from, because they did have
Indiana Jones.
Yep, they did have archaeological digs. Hitler was big into the occult. They didn't have what you would call paranormal, sections, but they had parts of the SS that were dedicated to that. It was definitely an avenue they were exploring. They were heavy into it, and it's dark shit. It's not.
Yeah, you can actually watch YouTube videos if you fancy this of them using severed dog heads and hooking them up to like electro stimulating things to see how long they can keep the dog like alive and moving.
Yeah, they were doing things. They were basically trying to figure out how to get super soldiers, because what was going on is, especially at that point, as Hitler got more desperate. Because they were facing the Russians in the winter, and they weren't equipped for it. So you were having the Russians coming on one side, you had the Americans coming in on the other, and as they were losing control, they were basically grasping at straws. Like the war for Hitler was lost way before he killed himself. We'll put it that way.
They think he killed himself. He may still be living on an island.
It's just like Futurama. Yeah. His head's in a jar next to Reagan and Abraham Lincoln. And
They kept him alive with the electrodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on there. I just had to ask the question about that.
Yeah, so fuck, man, this movie's so boring. I'm trying to figure out what happens
there's the book. They find the book that they look at it. They find fucking footage. They find some footage. The one guy does, the new captain, the Australian. I think he was far better captain than the real captain.
He was very like caricature though, and I think that actor is Australian. I might be wrong on that.
I'm pretty sure he is. He's got a pretty legit Australian accent.
But even his accent drops off sometimes.
Well, it goes he goes from like New Zealand to Australian is what it is. Like he starts off mate, and then he eventually goes down here. You know what I mean?
Essentially, they eventually do kind of discover what's going on here, and then one of the I believe one of the Americans, the line cook, ends up cracking open the first coffin.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. I just want to run through this logic, right? Big old empty haunted ship. Check. Dead bodies plastered to walls with some fucking substance. Check. Spell book. Check. Caskets. Check. Is your next move to crack these fucking things open? I mean.
Oh, it's also chained. It's also chained shut.
Yeah.
And it's got little figurines of monsters in the middle.
So basically, it says, "Don't open this, or you'll fucking die." And
Danger.
The line cook is like, "Oh fuck it, I'm an American soldier." Stupid.
I'm looking for Lady Luck. Lady Luck hasn't been nice to me.
Yeah. Oh. Literally, the Nazis over there like, "Should have listened to me." So yeah, they cracked the casket, and the only thing I could think of in the scene where the first vampire rises is fucking "Rise from your grave." The way he pops out of it, like Nosferatu. That's the only thing I could think of when I'm watching it. I was like, oh man, the creatures are just like I said, they look like in Underworld 2, the guy who can go between like human looking and vampire. It's literally like the same makeup effects, and it looked like shit when that came out.
This is where I have a problem with this movie, because I like the design of the vampire, but only because it's not. So I guess we should say what it is. So the vampire they use it's not the traditional sense of vampire. It's a strigo, which is a Slavic vampire. But like Roman
shape.
mythology has a different term of it, and then the French have a different term of it. But essentially, strigos, they're in The Witcher 3 if you play the Witcher game, because that's Slavic lore. But they look more.
Love the Polish.
They look more like this creature. They look more demon-like.
Yeah, they don't have the choice of to look like a human. Like,
yeah,
that's the other thing that they don't maybe fully explain, and I don't understand the process of like being bitten and then having it transmitted. But before you're whatever they are like in this mythology, if they bite you, are you basically just their slave, or do you eventually turn into one of them?
That's what it looked like at first. It's like I guess in segments they're a slave at first, and then it kind of transforms them. I don't know.
It goes from like slave to zombie, but they never like anybody that they bite in the movie never really becomes a vampire.
Right.
No, and that's where the movie gets confusing, because like with horror movies, like I've said before, a horror movie is responsible for setting up its own rules, and then it has to follow it.
Yep.
And this movie it's like we're just doing whatever. Like the monster's a monster, and he could do cool shit, and that's it.
I heard a good name, and we're gonna try to use it and see what we could do with it.
It's almost like they should have just like not had it been any sort of actual, like just be a monster that's no name, like not a vampire, not a werewolf, just a fucking creature. And a lot of that stuff we could have passed because it's like, okay, it's a brand new whatever creature, but it's clearly a fucking vampire. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing.
You kind of find out when he opens the second casket. The vampire does.
Yeah.
Yeah, his fucking wife. Oh my god.
That whole thing.
She looks like a Na'vi fucking from Avatar.
That whole like idea that it's just like the vampire couple in this fucking movie. Oh.
She had such nice hair though, didn't she? Like it was perfectly made and.
Dude, he just wanted to mac on her. He was like so excited when she woke up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood did a vampire movie better than like this movie's like. And Demon Knight wasn't even about vampires, and it was a better goblin vampire movie than this fucking movie is.
So this movie suffers from a couple problems though, because honestly, being on the boat, there was nothing for them to do until they introduced the big bad vampire. And then even when the vampire's there's only so many sets they were using.
Yeah, it's all they just literally they Resident Evil 1'd it, and you had to backtrack throughout the whole fucking movie.
Well, the bad guy never left the room, right? You know, not he's like he was in that room for most of his scenes.
Yeah, and then
the fucking vampire.
There's parts where he goes through, because like the way the line cook
it was mental.
Is him and the Nazi get into a shootout, and that's
the first guy. Yeah, the first guy. He gets shot in the face.
And
then the Nazi guy dies too.
Like that's the other thing is because what kicks off doesn't kick off until so far into the movie. There's just what's there is like it's rushed. Like the action they do try to cram in at the end is rushed, and then like you get the bullshit archetypal like the female's drawn to him, she becomes his slave, which is not Kiefer Sutherland's relative, and then
what?
Like and then this whole movie it's just stupid the way it plays out because they literally are like. Hey, here's half a mythology, and then at the end, I'm confused, and it's like, well, you should have paid attention to the mythology. It's like, well, what the fuck? Did I miss something?
Yeah. Because they expect you to get it from what it called the Nazi propaganda film. They expect you to pick it up off of that because it's just musical.
But okay, so moving on to the end, it's the whole thing of like they have this weird vampire suckfest with Sutherland. And then the next scene you see, she's completely fine, normal human. And then on a fucking whim, she turns on, at the end, it's literally the Titanic, and she's taking up the fucking door that they're laying on. And she bites him. But it's like, if the other vampire is dead, he can't be controlling her. How did he turn her? Why wasn't that shown?
The little girl bit her. At the beginning.
Yeah, but then she goes into the room. She goes into the room with the main vampire bad guy, and then he bites her too. But the thing is, he can't be controlling of her if he's dead unless he transformed himself into her body. But that's just me speculating because they don't fucking tell you how how does she have the power?
The movie doesn't set up rules.
No, and all of a sudden she's got power to flip between vampire and human. And would she walk in the daylight too?
That's another part. That's the second part.
Man, fuck this movie. Go on, Lewis.
I don't know. It sucks because like if you think about it, like the boat they use is fucking cool. Like the
sky shots that they did of it.
This type of vampire, like with that makeup, could be cool, but like they use everything wrong. It's almost like they came up with the idea and were like, we have this cool, awesome idea, but we're not good at writing the fucking story because there's nothing for the characters to do.
Well, the problem is they wrote themselves into a hole because it's literally the storyline is the first outbreak the captain was able to control by killing all of the ones that had been already turned, realized he was bit and killed himself. So you literally base a movie upon things that have already happened, and then since then it's been nothing. And then so there's no villain for more than half the movie. And then when he comes out, he's underwhelming.
That's another thing. So there is a scene in the movie where the Russian, who I will agree with Matt, is the coolest fucking guy in this movie. The Russian and the Australian open this room that basically says "Don't open." And there's a shit ton of the crew members who are essentially zombies in there.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, how did they get in there? And
was that the captain? Did he literally do all of that?
Yeah, did he get everyone in the room and also make the vampire go sleepy time again?
Like, well, he had to have, but that's the other thing. The vampire that had been loose, he had to have managed to kill it, along with all of the other ones that were still loose that had been turned, hence all the bodies that were burned and shit laying around. So he literally, just the captain, fought a fucking Nosferatu, fought infected crew members, burned their bodies, realized he was bit, and then killed himself. And 7 motherfuckers Nazis, can't take on one vampire that was in a coffin until they released him. Like, once again, the Nazis in this movie are the best character. They did all the shit. The whole movie's based upon what the Nazis did 2 weeks before the movie even takes place. One captain took out more than this entire group of soldiers did in the course of 133 minutes.
I think the girl was the one that got out somehow. I think she's somehow related to that. I think she was a child of his or some way. Like she was a part of his.
I don't know.
Because the way when she gets burned, he has a reaction to it, and it's not like how Faraday, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's his spawn, but like how once again, so I think she maintaining human. This fucking movie has no mythology.
Yeah, but she does change at one point with Faraday,
but then goes back.
Yeah.
How?
There's one scene that made me kind of laugh when the Russian is in the room and he picks up the glass vial with what I'm assuming is blessed water in it, and I just yelled "Holy hand grenade." That's what it made me think of, because he smashes it on the vampire's face.
I have that too.
That was a pretty funny scene, yeah.
Holy water grenade.
Yeah, and another thing, the ironic thing in this movie is the Russian character. Everything he's saying and his reactions is essentially the frustrated viewer watching this movie. Because, like, they first get on the boat and he's like, is no one going to fucking pay attention? And no one, like, all of his reactions are like you yelling at the writers in this movie.
Well, you feel like there was one writer who was like, guys, none of this fucking makes sense. Why isn't anybody listening to me? And then they were like, just write a character. We'll put it in the movie. And he's like, oh, I'll write a fucking character. Don't you worry about that. What happens in this scene? Russian guy. Okay. All right. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, you just go ahead and shout on the top of a fucking ship. That's great writing. Like, that's little
Maya bites the doctor. I'm going to slide a knife into his arm.
Yeah, right? Like and they didn't even like check it over. They were just lazy about it, and they're like, "Did you add anything?" And he's just like, "Not much. Don't worry about it. Just a little bit."
I did like Go ahead.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say I still keep thinking about the beginning of this movie though, because ever since we mentioned the random characters, I want to I want to know, did they all come from the same place?
They couldn't have. That's what I'm saying.
Were how many characters were there? There was the 2 Americans,
the Sutherland, El Capitan Noodle Arms,
Faraday,
Australian guy,
7,
and then
bald guy. So Russian, 2 American,
oh shit, you got me confused
girl,
here.
captain,
Australian
guy, and bald. So 7.
So that's 7, but let's say the captain was American and so were the 2 Americans, so that narrows it down to 5. So were there 5 separate fucking boats that sank? And then these people all got on a raft together?
At the beginning, it does say at the beginning that the Nazis were given the order to shoot every vessel down, including merchants as well, and then they were supposed to kill all civilians, even if they were civilians and survivors.
Yeah, but
so it did say that at the beginning. So you
have 3 American. What was it? 3 American, 2 or 3 British, and 1 Australian.
2 British,
and a Russian.
One Australian,
American, 1
Russian,
British, 1 Russian.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so
it's just I can't think of a situation where that grouping of people would be on one life raft. Like, because one life raft isn't several boats blew up and we all join on one.
Because she was
from one ship.
She was on the medical boat, and so they were all like, I guess they were picking them up as they went along, and then they just all ended up on the same raft because their boat got sank.
Now, did it actually say that, or are you assuming that?
I'm just assuming because of how they described it at the beginning.
See,
so that's the only thing you could.
Here's the thing: what you were saying was too logical, and I knew it wasn't in this movie. That's why I asked you, because I knew that wasn't in this movie, because I would have picked that up and actually paid attention to that.
I got a better plot for this movie. Scratch out the vampire and finding them getting on the blood vessel. Just how the people got on that fucking raft together, because that's the biggest.
Yeah, the origin movies where it's
mystery.
Like, give me an origin movie where they all manage to get on one fucking life raft, and then at the end of the movie they float and you see the blood vessel come into frame. End scene. Like, just let me. It doesn't make any sense.
Or it could be just that all the boats got taken down and they were picking up people as they were finding them in water.
Once again,
because they did ask the Russian how come he has no shoes.
And
he said that he was sleeping when his boat got hit.
The fact that we have to talk about this and discuss possible reasons for things the characters are doing or situations they're in tells you it's a shit movie. Like, when
it's a bit more fun than talking about the movie.
No, but when we have to brainstorm ideas on how to make this movie make sense, that's bad.
I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and one of the top reviews that says from a top critic, it's obviously a rotten one, and it says this should have been mothballed, which is that's a good review for this movie.
Yeah. It's not good. I mean, here's the thing is I really gave it a shot, too. Like, I was hoping it was going to be like, but there wasn't any energy. The action that in it is kind of goofy. Like, the vampire, whatever it is, seems more like a Power Rangers villain than like a badass villain. It's just, especially when the wife comes into play, and there's that shot of like she's got her arm on him, standing behind him, and it's like, what the fuck?
She stands by her man.
This isn't fucking Charmed. Like, what is going on here? I don't know. I didn't like the movie. I thought it was illogical. The ending is stupid. There's no, like, when you tell me Nazi anything and it's World War II and I know I'm dealing with, like, zombies or creatures, I get excited. Because even movies like Dead Snow, which are low budget, are still great.
Maybe.
But, you know, or even lower budget, Frankenstein's Army is a World War II monster flick. I like those movies, but, like, this was just so disappointing because I had to watch it over 2 nights because it was so fucking boring. The first night, it was late and I was falling asleep. So then I wake up the next day, like, gonna finally get into the good parts. No.
I watched the first hour twice because when I went back to watch it, I turned it off last night to go to bed, and when I went to start it this morning, it actually didn't save the spot. It started from the beginning, and I couldn't remember where I started or where I left off.
That's how little you
one night. And Shay actually watched this movie with me, and she knows that I like to pick I like to watch bad horror movies, but she saw on my face, she's like, you don't like this movie,
It's
right?
not
And I
an
was like, no, and
entertaining
it's not
bad
even the
horror
bad
movie.
horror movie that I like.
Like there's entertaining bad, and then there's just bad,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
It did have it did have some entertaining spots though.
a little
I
bit.
like when the Russian was changing his shirt and she's like, "Oh, you've been shot up." He's like, "Not all bullet holes."
Yeah, this is knife.
And he goes, "This was big.
Yeah.
Long story."
Once again, the Russian is the best part of the movie. Like he's the only character worth a damn. He's actually got some like the actor, and I thought I recognized the guy, but I looked up his IMDb and I couldn't find shit on him that I'd recognize.
I will say the scene where him and the Aussie go into the door that says "Don't open," they close it, and then they decide to arm themselves and go back in was pretty funny. But then even in that scene, it's like a fucking fake out montage. They don't show any action. It just essentially cuts to like they killed them all.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like the armory on a ship that size wouldn't have one gun left. Like every soldier would have had to have been armed that was in the fucking thing. That like there's no guns laying around. There's no shell casings. Like if there's no bullet shell casings and there's no guns on the floor, the vampire didn't fucking pick them up. So you didn't use them. So the armory should be fully stocked, which would be a lot more than one fucking rifle. So, like, in my opinion, there should have been a scene at the end of this movie where they open up that door that's got, like, all of the crew and shit that's been turned, and just all four of them go at him with, like, one of them's got a big-ass chain gun, like, Predator style, would have redeemed the fucking movie. Like, if they would have played it like that, where it wasn't so goofy, and you gave me some, like, Nazi vampire slaughter and made it worth it, that would have been cool. But they just let it go softly into the wind. They do a cliched, oh, I bit him. Haha, I'm the vampire now. I'm going to fucking bring it to the world. And it's like one captain took out one of you fucks and like 10 soldiers that you turned. I'm not worried about vampires like you. I'll be good.
Well, in that scene, and I think there's a couple times in the movie where the director does this weird thing where the camera lens goes red.
Yeah. Which I don't know if it was supposed to signify anything or the blood transfusion when they bite and the infection starts. I don't know. I didn't.
Well, the one guy he wasn't bit at all. He's the one that opens the first casket or the only casket that he opens. It's just when the vampire opens his eyes or whatever it's called. And that's when he, like, I guess it gets hypnotized. So that's when it went red.
Right. I'm just going to say this.
It's just really weird.
I'm going to say this. There's only two men that could have saved this movie. You want to know who those two men are?
Daniel Baldwin and...
James Woods and Daniel Baldwin. You got it. You bring the Slayers into this movie.
Oh, yeah.
John Carpenter's Vampires 3: Blood Vessel.
Where's the fucking Padre? That's what it's going to be called, right?
Yep. It's the tagline. Padre's going to need a new coat or something. I don't know. Padre needs a new collar. I don't know.
Padre's mahogany.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes. Oh, that is so the name of this episode. Oh. But that would have been a way better movie. Like I would have loved that movie. James Woods comes in there, he's just, die, fucker! And then the vampire in this movie is such a pussy. He would just be laying there like, stop stabbing me,
If this was the sequel and he came in, he'd be in a wheelchair after snapping his fucking neck.
They don't explain that. Like,
from the cross ride.
The next day, like when he wakes up in the nearest town's hotel, he's paralyzed from the neck down. Like once his muscles relax, his nerves singed, he's dead. All right. So do we anything else on?
No, let's get over this fucking movie. I'm done.
This one. Alex, anything you'd like to say on Bloody Poop?
No, man.
Blood Stool. That's
Blood
the
Stool,
new name.
Yeah. Sounds like a shitty metal band. Bloody Stool.
It had its fun parts, but I mean, it was a bad movie. There was a lot of shit that was just not right.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad movie.
If it wasn't as slow as it was, it could have worked. But the problem is, there's like, even a movie that builds slow, as long as it builds to something that isn't just as slow, it works. But
so it was 100. It was 133 minutes, or an hour and 33.
Or sorry, hour and 33.
Oh fuck,
okay.
Lewis.
So I'm say that's a long fucking movie.
I don't remember being 2 hours and 13 minutes long. That's what I was saying. I was
No,
like, fuck, it was that
but
long?
No, I shit you not though. Like
It felt like
this,
133.
this was the first time in a long time while watching a movie I had my Roku remote in my hand and I kept pausing it and Shay was like, "What are you doing?" I kept pausing it, playing it, pausing it, playing it. And I told her I was like, "I keep looking at the timestamp." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Why?" And I was like, "Are you bored yet?" And she's like, "Yes." And when it got to 52 minutes, I paused it and I was like, I just fucking yelled. I was like, "Are you fucking serious? 52 minutes?"
I like the 10-second fast forward option on the Apple TV. So I did a lot of that where I was like, anything happen? No. 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 Like, that was me. And then finally when it got to the point where, like, they actually started looking at the book of, like, magic and shit. The fucking Necronomicon. I was like, okay, I'm going to let it play through. But it's just, if it wasn't as slow, I could have tolerated some of the goofiness, or if it was a little less goofy, I could tolerate some of the slowness. But the mix of the two is just, it's not a good brew, man.
It's like if you have all that, the 52 minutes, get good actors.
Yeah.
Or slightly better actors.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the Sutherland girl is not a bad actress, but she was shit in this movie.
I think they thought that she was related to him, and that's why they hired her. And they thought it was going to be a good.
They
were banking on the name.
Wait, mate, he's a Sutherland, right? Oh shit, we got a Sutherland. And then she shows up, and they're like, "Where the fuck are you?"
Are you the long lost daughter?
Thought you were gonna bring Kiefer. I haven't seen him in a while. If I've never met him, whatever. Who the fuck is trying to cast Kiefer Sutherland anymore? Like, even as 24 let on, like, Jack Bauer just started looking like that dude who smokes too much cigarettes in your office building.
So, I believe he's actually in the new Creepshow animated short, but I'd have the animated special, but I'd have to look that up.
Have you guys ever seen the documentary about the band he was like producing or some shit? And it's like that's where the videos came out of all of his crazy like jumping on Christmas trees drunk and shit. It really hurt his Halloween. Yeah, because he was like a producer, because he's a musician, and he was like a producer for some like, I think they were like an Irish rock band or some shit. And there's like videos of him like just wasted in like a hotel lobby, like jumping on the furniture, and I think he jumps on like the Christmas tree. And like when that came out, like they released it as a documentary, and I don't know if he thought like people are gonna see me in a whole new light, and then people were just like, "Kiefer, you have a problem." Like that was the response. And
he was drinking the tiger's blood.
Oh, lots of that.
Along with.
So he actually, I was correct. He is in the new Creepshow animated special for Halloween that's on Shudder. It's not for everyone because it's motion comic style. But he's in a short called Survivor Type.
They released the Watchmen motion comic. Does it do it the same way?
Yep.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah. But the short he's in, it's called Survivor Type. It's one of my favorite Stephen King shorts. It's basically about a surgeon who's stranded on a deserted island with nothing to eat. So he starts performing surgeries on himself. It's pretty cool.
How is the animated, like, are the stories themselves pretty good?
They're very short. Very short and to the point. The first one is good. The second one, not so much. But the second one's written by his son, which is why.
Whose son? Stephen King?
Joe Hill.
All right. I don't know why people think because you shot them out of your body they have the same talent you do. It's like Schwarzenegger's kid fucking being in movies. Like, that's not how it works. It's not like a fucking sexually transmitted disease that you're born with and that your parents gave you the gene for acting. You're fucking ridiculous.
Not only his kid, but it's his oopsie kid.
Yeah,
that's why he has the last name.
One who looks like a fucking caveman.
I think you're talking about Arnold.
Oh, shit. Whoops.
Wrong.
Yeah. Wrong
celebrity.
I don't know. I'm just like I get it. Like there are like David Bowie and his son, Duncan. I can't remember his last name. He's actually a really great director. He directed Moon. He's directed a couple pretty trippy sci-fi movies.
Yeah, Moon is good.
But you know, just because you come from Stephen King, doesn't mean. I mean, hell, Stephen King is an unbalanced writer. What makes you think you're going to be as good as him? Anyways, sorry.
Oh, Bowie's son also did the Warcraft movie, which that movie does not look great. I rewatched it the other day.
Okay, so I have never watched it, right? And then
I've never watched it either.
I found out Ragnar from Vikings is the main guy in it, and it gave me a lot of interest. So now I'm gonna have to find it and watch it.
It's not a bad movie, but there are huge chunks of the movie where the CGI is like, this is not great. But it's actually not a bad movie.
Like it's loading textures where it's a little blurry. Like it'll be there in a second.
Yeah, a lot of the orcs look like Shrek.
Orcs are like onions.
So the one actress is an orc, but she's not CGI, and she has a mouthpiece in it, and she sounds like she has a mouthpiece in her mouth while talking.
Original Bane.
Bad. She sounds like she's talking with like a couple Hot Wheels cars in her mouth. It's terrible.
We are here to make the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's not about our bread type.
I still like the movie though. It's pretty bad, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyways, back to Bloodstool.
So we should just wrap it up because I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, let's give it ratings. Lewis, how many hot dogs, man?
I'm gonna, man.
That's
I'm gonna
too
go
high.
with a 1.
I didn't even say that didn't work. Alex, man, how many hot dogs, man?
I'm gonna be a little generous at 1.5 because, like I said, there was a couple of spots that just was a little better for me.
I'm gonna go with 4. No,
we're holding you to it.
I'll go 1 on this. I really wanted to like it because I was interested in the subject matter, but it's just not a great movie.
Have we given a movie a 0 yet?
No.
We did, didn't we?
I think I gave The Shed a 1.
Oh yeah, I think we did give 1s to The Shed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. 0 is gonna have to be. I don't know.
RoboCop 3.
No, I mean if I can find anything entertaining out of at least part of a movie, I'll give it a 1 at minimum. But I don't know, man. Goddamn robot ninjas. It's going to be a hard one. I don't know how I'm going to watch that movie. Like I said, I watched RoboCop 2 recently, and I'm sitting there like, I started it, and I was like, yeah, I remember this one's going to be good. I remember this one being okay. And by middle way, I'm like, what the fuck? This is terrible. Everything
like Kane?
Well, I didn't mind that, but everything else in the movie is like, like they added it was like, here's RoboCop plus Skate or Die. Like everything is 80s neon punk. It's just, it's goofy. It's the whole fucking scene, which is admittedly fairly funny, but where they like reprogram him and the kids are like was ripping the store off and they beat the shit out of the shopkeep and he's just like talking about nutrition. Like, it's actually kind of funny, but the problem with it is when you mix it with all the other goofiness, it is way more goofy than I remember it being, and not in a good way. Not in like, oh, that's 80s charm. No, it's not charm. That's fucking Rust, okay?
Well, I don't think it's the same director.
No,
either.
It is not Paul Verhoeven.
That's why.
I mean, even some of the lines that they make fucking Murphy say in the movie are ridiculous. And he even moves a little differently, too. Like, there's a funny scene, like, the kids are robbing the store, and they beat the shit out of the shop owner, and he just gives them a lecture about nutrition, and then some dude lights a cigarette, and he shoots, like, bullets all around him until the cigarette falls out of his mouth, and he's like, thank you for not smoking. That was pretty funny. Like, that's the thing is, it's not 100% terrible, but I see it as I'm older now it's more RoboCop 3 than it is RoboCop 2. And you guys, when was the last time you guys watched RoboCop 3?
Did they stick with an R?
No. RoboCop 2 was R, RoboCop 3 is PG-13.
Oh, gross.
Once again, when was the last time you guys watched this movie? You're in for a shit heap. I don't think you understand.
Gross. Alex brought this upon us.
It's PG-13
I
RoboCop.
did not.
Well, this guy loved the Canadian fucking TV version of RoboCop.
Crash and burn.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me, eh? Hold on, I'm hearing something. What's that about? All right. We'll be right back with you guys. We're going to be coming back with our review and in-depth analysis of Death Sentence starring Mr. Kevin Bacon. Be right back.
All right, and moving on to the second movie of the night, a better film than the first one we went over. So this movie is called Death Sentence. This movie came out in 2007. So I mean, if you listen to our last podcast we did, it's in that same realm of you had movies like Training Day that came out, Running Scared.
Yeah, they're all kind of in
really
that same class.
Early 2000s, I guess, was a fad for this. Did End of Watch come out around?
End of Watch was
post.
Well? I want to say 2010, 2009, maybe. You also had movies like the Keanu Reeves one, Something Kings. You had that with it was Keanu Reeves had a cop movie where he was like a dirty cop. You had Kurt Russell had a movie.
Really?
Yeah, Street Kings.
Street Kings. Yeah.
You had Kurt Russell had that one. I can't remember what it was called, but he was basically. It was during the L.A. riots, but it was made like I think came out in 2005, where he was kind of like a rough, kind of tumble, slightly dirty cop. There was a lot of them in that decade that came out of like gritty, police-based and or gang-based movies like this.
You know what's not to cut you off on that, but the weird thing about it is that was when I just became a father, from 2005, and until 2010, I had like no time to watch fucking movies. So half the movies we're talking about, I have no fucking idea.
Dark Blue was the Kurt Russell movie.
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell. Yeah, I do remember that, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and I think like when I at least for my age and seeing these movies, obviously Training Day wasn't the first film to do what it did, but for me it set kind of a bar of like this is how like violent and cool, and the acting in that movie is awesome. So like when I see these other films going into the late 2000s, I always compare them to Training Day for some reason, even though Running Scared is a little different.
I mean, they are kind of that gold standard of the behind the scenes almost of like the grittiness. And Denzel before that never played a villain, so for him to come out and be that nasty of a character was like, oh shit, Denzel's nasty as fuck.
But for Training Day, though, a lot of their supporting actors were fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Those guys, a lot of their supporting actors were really fucking good.
I mean, whether you like him or not, Ethan Hawke's a good actor, too. Like,
yeah.
He's awesome.
I'm not the big,
but without all those supporting actors...
Terry Crews was in that one, right?
I talked over you. I apologize.
Was Terry Crews in that? He was, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he's not. He doesn't have the double cheeseburgers in that one, though, but he's in that one, yeah. I feel
if they didn't have that supporting the supporting actors, that movie would have been just two guys fucking two big guys being something new.
You think of the talent, because who was the Denzel's girlfriend in that? That was she got real Ava Mendes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's a lot of talent in that movie, especially like later on when they get bigger and bigger. Like she was just kind of like the throwaway girlfriend role. And look how big she got. Yeah, the movie kind of is the gold standard. I do, however, want to say, on the slightly darker note and more dramatic, less action note, Narc is an excellent fucking movie.
I remember that one too, yeah.
With Ray Liotta, and I can't remember the other guy's name. That movie's amazing, dude.
The guy from Speed 2.
Oh, is it him? It's like Jason something, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Speed 2.
It's going to bother me now. I'm going to have to look it up.
Speed 2 with Willem Dafoe? As the bad guy?
There's only one Speed movie in my head canon. But
Jason Patrick.
Oh, God. Fuck him.
The guy from Lost Boys.
Fuck him.
Oh, Death Sentence came out in 2007. So this movie has a runtime of 111 minutes. This movie feels quite long. It seemed pretty long.
There's some drag-ass scenes for sure.
I would just note that Blood Vessel is a longer movie than this movie.
No, it's not. Wait, how long is this one?
It's 133 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. It is.
Wait, this movie's 133 minutes?
No, this is 111. Blood Vessels
Oh wow,
133.
this one's that short? So an hour and 11 and an hour. Wait, Lewis, is this movie 111 minutes?
It says 111 minutes.
Okay. Okay, Blood Vessel was not 133 minutes. It was an hour 33. We went over this.
This one's an hour and 45. Hour and 45 for this one.
So this one's an hour and 45. Blood Vessel was an hour and 33, not 133 minutes.
Listen, ever since I became a dad, I've lost so much of my mind.
It's all that Common Core you got to teach.
Fuck, man, I'm turning into Joe Biden. God damn it!
Come on, man, you know the thing.
My wife asked me why I keep covering my face when I'm on the show. I'm like, because I keep laughing. I just want to cover my face.
You know what? No, the problem is my wife's gonna listen to this episode in like 2 weeks, and then she's gonna question me and be like, "Do you not know how to fucking do math?"
No, she's not even gonna. She's literally gonna be sitting
you know
there.
How to tell time?
She's gonna be sitting there one day and be like, "Lewis, 2 + 4." And you're gonna be like, "Why?" And she's gonna be like, "Just answer." You're gonna answer, and then she's gonna be like, "Lewis," and you're like, "What?" 7 + 8. And you're like, "Seriously, just answer." And then she's gonna be like, "I was listening to the podcast." And as a librarian / educator, I was quite concerned.
All right, I'm not gonna fuck up these next two numbers. Budget 20 million. That's 20 million.
20 million.
Box office 17 million. That's 17 million. I dropped out of high school. Okay.
17 comma some zeros. That's all you need to know.
So one thing I did not know until I looked this up. This movie was, and I figured this out because of one of the guys in this movie. What the hell is it? The character's name is Spink, and he's played by Lee Wanell. And immediately I'm like, oh my god, James Wan. This movie was directed by James Wan, and I never knew.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh
and
shit! I thought you did.
No, and I didn't like. I don't know if he's done a film kind of in this like gritty like cop. Like he's more switched over to
besides Saw.
Yeah, now he's into like big horror movies and the Fast and Furious movies.
I mean, Fast 5 is, I think, the best Fast and the Furious movie, which I believe he directed.
What? No, I don't. What are they on the 10th one now?
They're on Fast 5. Putt Putt Goes to the Moon.
Okay.
Space Force 11.
This.
If I actually did get a rumor real quick of the new Fast and the Furious movie. In order to save Paul Walker, he's actually he's gotten COVID. No. So, a la Magic School Bus, they shrink their cars down and drive through his rectum to go fight the COVID inside of him.
No.
That's the new story. I'm sorry, guys. And then somehow
Are they gonna do the awkward CGI on his brother?
I just hope they don't.
It's gonna be like Inner Space.
Just don't bring him back, dude. Like, let him. Like, I understand you had to kind of work with the circumstances and, like, fit his leaving in, but just let him stay gone. Like, you want to bring back his wife and whatever, I guess, but, like, just leave him gone. Don't bring his brother back.
The problem with those movies, though, is you get to the movie after and, like, the wife shows up and you're just like, where's your husband and kid? Like,
yeah, like, what if she just showed up and she's just like, he dead? And that's like all they do to cover it. Like, there's no.
You guys actually watched after all that shit?
Yeah.
I stopped watching them.
I don't remember which ones I haven't seen.
I thought Hobbs and Shaw was really good. I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Are they ever going to work together again?
I don't know. I don't think. Diesel and The Rock.
Family.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing about COVID is it's kind of proved that like. Their egos don't deserve to be this big. Like, nobody's out here rioting because the new fucking Jumanji isn't out. You know what I mean? Like, The Rock is big, but like I said, I've said it before. The whole COVID thing is proving that kind of where it's at is the indie, lower, mid-tier budget movie scene. Netflix has adopted it. That's why they're so successful. That's why Hulu's and all these other Amazon Prime all have original movies and series. It is what it is. The modern cinema that we knew is gone. AMC's already talking bankruptcy. It's not going to recover. I think what you're going to see is maybe one chain survive. The hope I do feel is you're going to see independent theaters open again. Like, what was that one on Clybourne, I think it was? That you used to work at one point, or you really liked, there's a I don't know, wasn't there a theater, was it on Clybourne, I thought? Or in the area of, like, Webster, Clybourne area? Wasn't there a theater in that area that you used to go to?
There is the Webster Theater.
No, it was like a small, like, independent, like, it only ran, like, independent and indie films. I can't remember what it was called. You know what I'm talking about. You know where I'm talking about. I just can't remember.
You talking about Facets Multimedia?
Yeah, them.
That's okay. That's on Fullerton. Yeah, that's on Fullerton.
Okay, yeah. Like, I think you're gonna see things like that open up, and I think what that's gonna do is that's gonna create variety again in the theater chain in general, to where you're
not
gonna
make
have
it mainstream.
Yeah, you're gonna have like themed ones, and shit like that, which I think has potential, but we're also talking probably 3 years from now.
Well, do you think that's why AMC's starting to rent out their theaters?
Oh, I think it's a hell of a value. Frankly, I think if you
could bring any movie you want.
You got 20. Oh no! And if it's a movie that's not a first run movie that they have, you could watch one of theirs too.
Oh, shit.
But you got 20 buddies who want to go hang out. Like, I actually thought about it for the $100 of inviting people in and charging them $5, like to get in. And have a live studio audience on one of them we record.
It'd be like sharing a pay-per-view, having a pay-per-view party at your house.
It'd be really fucking neat. Like, what if we watched the movie in the background?
Yeah, Matt texted us that idea, and my first thought was like, I don't have that many friends.
No, it would have to be like you people are paying to get in. I hope you know that.
I don't have that many friends I still talk to. Yeah, I mean, I've got friends, but not that many I still talk to.
Yeah, how come
not to put all on one roof, not under one roof.
School of Rock didn't tell you about losing friends. Enjoy the time you have with them now. Anyways, what movie are we reviewing? Running Scared?
Jump into the cast. So obviously we have Kevin Bacon. He plays the main character in here, Nick Hume.
Sebastian
I think
Cain.
that's how you say his last name.
Nick Hume.
Then you have the gentleman from Friday Night Lights, Garrett Hedlund, as Billy Darley. You have the late Kelly Preston as
I forget
Kevin
that
Bacon's
she's
wife.
I forgot she had passed before, and then Alex texted me. I was like, oh shit.
Throwing back to that Garrett character though, he looks like fucking Travolta in that fucking movie.
Oh, from Paris with Love.
Yeah, from Paris with Love. Doesn't he look like him?
A little bit.
So he actually stars in one of my favorite movies that everyone kind of hates, Tron Legacy.
Yeah. I actually, when he came out,
I love Tron Legacy.
He's in a couple really good movies, though. He's in Tron Legacy because I remember when I was watching this again, I was like, okay, I remember he was in Tron, but there was another one that he was in that I really liked that he kind of flew under the radar, and that was Four Brothers. He was Jack.
Oh, yeah.
He was the youngest brother, and I love that movie. So I dig him in this. Even then, I know he's playing like badass Mr. Whatever, but it's still kind of I don't know if I see him that way.
Yeah, and then you have Aisha, the worst detective in the world, Tyler as Detective Jessica Wallace, who's the worst detective in the world.
Seriously, she's like literally tells him, "I'm just gonna hang you out to dry. Whatever, get fucked."
I called her Detective Aisha because I didn't know her name and I didn't care to learn it.
You know what? She doesn't actually make any meaningful impact to any character in this movie, so she doesn't matter.
No. They could have had somebody completely different. It didn't have to be her.
It should have been somebody else who maybe gave a shit about somebody who's being threatened and murdered by fucking street gang that apparently can just open fire midday. Anyways, that's getting ahead.
So you have go ahead.
No. Let's finish this, and then I'll say it.
Oh, John Goodman.
Wasted
very
actor.
Minor role. His character is cool.
For the 3 minutes he's on screen.
Yeah.
He plays the father of one of the bad boys.
The main dude, Tron guy.
Well, I think they said two.
Yeah, it's the first guy that Kevin Bacon. They're brothers, so the main guy and the first guy that's in the courtroom.
Joe and Billy.
Yeah. They were both his
and then
sons.
you have Joe Darley, the younger brother's played by Matt O'Leary, which I am not familiar with anything he's been in.
Nah, he's kind of a
No, I don't
under the
know.
radar.
And then you have Lee Winnell as Spink, which is the worst name for a character in a movie. I think this is one of the gang members.
I remember when
Yeah.
I watched this because I knew James Wan directed it. I was like, oh shit, it's Lee Winnell, his writing and directing partner
Lee
for Saw.
There is another actor, Edie Gathegi. I can't say his name, but he played Bodhi. He was the main guy that from the gang that would always show up at different times. The guy with the really bad face tattoo.
Oh, wait till we get into the fucking tattoos in this movie.
He's the one that brings the briefcase to the office.
He's the one that he's with the girl when Bacon comes a calling.
Yeah, so he's actually in a show right now that's on the USA Network with Rosario Dawson. That's pretty cool. I can't remember the name of it, but it has to do with senator bullshit and all that.
Pretty sure it's called.
What was that?
Nobody Gives a Fuck.
No, but he plays a good role in there. In that TV show, I like him.
It is weird to see like some of these I guess you get locked into actors for certain roles, and it's weird. Like I said, like we were talking about Walton Goggins earlier, how like he literally has gone from sinister corrupt cop to sinister terrorist murderer to sinister televangelist to fucking sitcom dad. It's just weird how it's like you expect, what's his face from Justified to come out, and instead it's just I don't know. I get locked into roles, and it's like no, I know what roles you belong in. You don't. So
you like to typecast people.
I think he's typecasted himself in the roles he's chosen, but okay.
But he's proven to be successful.
But each one of those characters is vastly different. Like Vice Principal's character is way different from Righteous Gemstones. Righteous Gemstones is way different from Shane from The Shield. Shane is way different from, I can't remember his character's name in Justified. But no matter what, like he's played roles that are traditionally villainous. I mean, I love him. He's one of my favorite actors working right now. I still haven't watched a sitcom show though. But sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why I like Nick Cage, because like he'll go in for a movie and someone will be like, "We're gonna try something different," and he'll be like, "No, I'm Nick Cage."
The cage doesn't move; you move.
But with that, we could jump into the movie. So basic premise for this movie. I was gonna say Nick Bacon. God damn it!
Well, that would be a hell of an actor. Let's get those two together.
Kevin Bacon's character.
Get me Bacon. Nick Bacon.
His son is killed by a gang, and basically he ends up going after this gang, and that's kind of general summary, and we could jump into it from there.
Right.
All right, so I just want to real quick on that scene. That scene is horrendously fucked up because it starts kind of like, want to get some Slurpees? Like they're all just kind of like, and then the kid's brutally murdered as like a gang initiation. But yeah, I just wanted to touch down on the weird balance they kind of get, the kind of 50-50 you get on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, they go from where's the fucking highway and we're out of gas to like,
why is that like, I'm sorry, but the idea of, I don't care if this was made in 2007, the idea of goofy white people getting off at the wrong exit and whoa is a fucking terrible cliche that needs to stop. Yeah. The movie Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez that's literally the entire premise of the movie. Goofy suburbanites getting off at the wrong exit and witness Dennis Leary murder somebody. Like it needs to stop.
That was one of my complaints, because I've only known in my life a couple people that have ever ran out of gas in a car.
Right? Like, what are you, Kramer?
I don't understand how you can do that.
I did.
I don't understand how you can, like...
My gas gauge was broken and it was stuck up high, and we actually had to go into the gas tank and knock it back down. And we had to replace the gas tank.
Okay, fine. I will give you that. But goofy corporate dad
with way more, like he could fill up at any expensive Shell anywhere, and he fucking chooses the ghetto to run out of gas.
Yeah, so that and also you get the sense from when the movie starts that he's kind of like he's like a dad in all sense. Like he's not a deadbeat dad. Like he cares about his
Right.
family.
Yeah, there's no family issues really at this point at all. I mean, they're like your loving, wife, father, 2.1 kids, and a dog.
He is very work oriented, and he's still family oriented because you see it in the montage I did in the beginning with all the family videos working on, and then they also throw in his fucking work videos, which is all like it's kind of like showing you like what they recorded on their camcorder because that's what it was at the time, right?
Yeah,
everything was recorded in handheld.
Like his son was like always recording.
Yeah,
and
so
like,
it kind of shows you.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was saying it kind of shows you that he did have a happy life. He was always happy with the family work, and it was all still part of everything.
They also his job. He's basically a risk assessor.
Yeah,
like for an insurance company. So that I don't feel they do that concept justice enough because there's like a couple times when like I ran the numbers and it's like, okay, I guess, but so they kind of basically like tell it to you and then they're like. Here's a little like throwback to the fact that we told you that, but that's the only reason we told you that to give you the throwback. You know what I mean? Sorry, Lewis.
So, but before we get more into the movie, I have one big complaint with this movie. Well, I have a couple, but the biggest one is I don't know if you guys caught this, but like it was removing me from the movie experience because it was fucking frustrating me. There's a lot of like odd uplifting music in this movie and it's so bad. Like in scenes the like sad uplifting music sounds like a Hallmark commercial.
Yeah, like when he's like just crying because his son's dead and she's hugging him in the shower and it's like ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
And every time it felt like I was watching a different movie compared to like the action scenes.
There was a part where he's crying and he like puts his head in her stomach. I thought they were about to like go into like a passionate like love making. I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Like and then she just walks away. Like she gives him blue balls because he's like kissing her like we need to do something, and she's like, nah, this is pathetic, and walks away.
She didn't want the bacon.
No, it was not sizzling that night.
So I guess jumping into the beginning scene where the son is killed. One thing that kind of made me chuckle, which was really ironic, is when they pull over at the gas station, and he calls the mom, and he's saying like something like, "Yeah, our son's never coming back."
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen this movie in a while, so like I was just like not really paying attention, but like listening to what he was saying. And then the scene happens after where the guy gets his fucking throat cut.
He's like, having to make that call. Like
when I
heard everything I joked about. Bad news.
Sorry.
Sorry.
When I heard that shit, I was like, "Holy shit, that's not good."
Well, I also do find it interesting that there's a like connection to Running Scared with like the hockey because doesn't the kid play hockey?
Yeah.
So that's another weird kind of connection to that one too. And yeah, that scene is very like to kind of back it up. They kind of portray it like this son's the golden child. He's the athlete. The arguments they have with him is trying to like decide the college or to go pro, and like it's very much like wholesome-y family shit.
It's basically, watch your mouth. Like it's basically every time they talk to him, it's more like, you can't say that. Don't talk about this.
Literally, their family is like one of those families where like they drop a vase and mom's like, "You better clean that up." Like it's that's how they fucking act at first.
She puts the thing down. She's like,
like
now.
Oh, Brian or whatever the fuck his name was. Like that's the type of family. Like it's a shitty like Full House family.
It's the Beaver. It's the Beaver.
Yeah, basically where it's like like there's no like he slapped her in the face or something before they left to the hockey game or anything. They're a happy family.
Because he does call his brother like a no dick or something like that, and the mom says, like she's like, "Come on, we're gonna be a family," and she doesn't even scold him.
She's over like, "Cut it out," you know what I'm saying?
She goes to the younger brother. She goes, "You stop it!" Like she tells the younger brother to stop.
Yeah, like kind of like, "Hey, you piece of shit, he's better than you. Fucking know that." Like,
yeah, and all he wanted to do was just fucking stop eating dinner with them and go to his room.
But even the brothers' dynamic is. kind of golden boy older brother, smart ass, wisecracking younger brother. So they even established their dynamic, really. So they do.
Yeah, and they had a good relationship too, though.
Yeah, they do a good job of being like everything from the outside says this is the perfect family. They make plenty of money. The sons are successful and healthy, and then they go to a goddamn gas station in the wrong part of town.
Because the other one had a soccer game, so that they weren't all together.
And that's what also helps separate the idea of the one son that does survive starts to grow resentment because he knew that the other son was kind of their favorite, and he's kind of looking at it like, oh, okay, so it's my fault because we weren't all together. I see. Which
also brings you to the point, as a parent, do you choose one child over the other?
What do you mean?
Yes.
They both have games the same day. They both have a game the same day. One's playing soccer somewhere, and the other one's playing hockey. Do you go with the hockey, or do you go with the soccer?
I think you make your kids fight, and the winner
chooses the winner chooses who drives them.
Come on, children, you know how it is. The squared circle of death for who gets our love.
So I did also laugh because they pull over to that gas station, and the golden boy, he's a grown ass fucking kid, and he asks his dad can I go in and get a Slurpee?
Yeah. No, son, you've got to watch your carb intake. What is Kevin Bacon, this rich white dude, gonna say? No, we can't afford a cherry slurp, buddy.
Hey, you got money? That's what he tells
but once again, this is the family.
You got your own money?
This is the family, though, where if Kevin Bacon goes, you got money? The next sentence is, because here's some if you don't. That's this family. If you need some, here you go.
But here's the kid. He goes, yeah, Dad, I got your credit card in my pocket.
Yeah, that is exactly what it would be.
Yeah, right. No, don't worry. Mom gave it to me last week. Oh.
No, but all jokes aside, this part kind of as a parent, it's oh, fuck, this is kind of fucked up.
No, it's a rough scene, man.
Yeah, and I movies like this before I was a dad would be whatever. And now when we watch stuff where there's situations where a parent has to deal with child loss or these revenge movies, I'm watching the movie and in my head I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I'd fucking kill those people if they fucking killed my child. Hell yeah.
Lewis literally watched Heredity with the baby monitor, and everybody was just looking down at it, and it's no, we're good. No, still good.
No, but it's I don't know, it's crazy because it scenes like that, especially in these revenge movies, and this movie goes balls to the wall with him losing his entire fucking family.
By the end, it's so okay. So let's I tell you what. Let's get through the opening. We've established they're a nice family. Basically, what happens is it's kind of a cliched story. It's your typical
urban legend, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's your kind of typical revenge story of. What do you mean, urban legend?
So how it starts when he's driving on the road and he says, "Where's the highway?" And then there's two cars coming towards him, the hot rods. And he flashes the lights at them.
Yeah.
And they always tell you in urban legend, don't flash your lights because they'll follow you home and kill you.
I mean, that's just good practice in real life. Let's be real here. Unless unless you look like
as long as they're not in your lane.
The truth of it is, if I flash lights and they look at me, I'm the one they're scared of. That's how, especially because I wear sunglasses at night. I don't give a fuck. No. I got a full ski mask on driving. So they they go through where the kid gets killed. It's a ritualistic killing, and it comes to the point where they caught the guy. Kevin Bacon is in court to and he fingers him. He points him out as the guy, and he fingers him good. And so then he's talking to the lawyer, and the lawyer is just kind of he'll get this, but he'll probably be out in this, or the cop. I don't remember, the cop or lawyer.
That's his lawyer, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? He slaughtered my kid in cold blood. I'm a witness. And then he's like, yeah, but it was late, and there's circumstances, and basically tells him that this guy's not going to jail for the rest of his life. He'll probably be out in under a year.
That's something that pissed me off when watching that. He's telling him, no matter what you do, he's going to sell out somebody else, and it's going to get us somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, and he tells him this was essentially an initiation killing. Happens all the time.
Yeah, they're not really trackable.
Yeah.
So Kevin Bacon,
Best practice.
yeah, makes a decision to, when it comes to his point, to testify. He's not in this room. The man who killed my kid's not here. And I don't think he does it with any sort of real plan at that point. It's just kind of like, I need justice. And he ends up kind of parked out. He follows the dude back, and he's parked outside the complex he's living in. And he goes to kind of like, it's not even to confront him. It's just to kind of like, at first he just kind of stands there like,
it's still processing. He's still trying to figure out what the fuck he's gonna do.
Yeah, he has no idea. He's literally in front of the guy and has not figured out his what he's doing at all. And they get into a tussle, and now he brought that knife though. That was his knife, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He did go searching through his shed for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a knife. They get in a tussle. They kind of, and it's a lazy scene in my opinion because they roll around and then like you hear a knife insert sound, and it's understood by his facial expression that he's been stabbed. And Bacon, he does take a cut to the hand, and he escapes, and he kind of starts to tumble from there. Lewis, you want to kind of take us through, or Alex, one of you guys?
Yeah, so he does end up coming home, and actually before he goes and confronts the guy with his knife, he's looking for it in the garage, I believe, and the younger son, sees him and asks what's going on, and the dad's kind of like just standoffish, like he's kind of just not really.
He's on a mission.
Yeah.
Is that also the scene where he questions where it happened or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can tell this is what starts the younger son of like feeling like shit, with the guilt of it. Then I don't know, the scenes with him, I wanted to be like, shut up, you bitch, it's not about you.
He's like 50-50. You feel bad for him because his like brother / best friend is just dead, and then the other half of you is like, dude, knock it off, grow a fucking
well, yeah, because the entire scene that built up to that, what is it, like 20-30 minutes now,
yeah
into the movie. There's nothing in there that shows that they really favored the kid. They favored him because he was successful, but they didn't favor him because he was the best kid. They didn't treat the other kid like shit.
No, it's just, like, I think the thing about it is like,
I think it was more guilt. He just didn't know how to deal with his brother being dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's grieving, but it's also the fact that like dad had to go to the hockey game. He wouldn't go to the soccer game. That was dad. His older brother was his dad's son. Like, they were both, because like his dad was, and he's talking to him, and like in the car he's talking him up about how he's this great hockey player. So like, you could tell they set it up to where the hockey at least is his dad and his thing. Like that's how they bond or started bonding, whatever. Yeah. And I think that's where it kind of sets the seeds. But I do think the bulk majority of that kind of resentment and acting out just comes from the fact that the kid's brother's dead and he's watching his parents. I would imagine part of it is like they're so busy grieving over him that they don't even know I exist, which is probably a valid feeling. I'm not going to discount it. It's got to be pretty terrible to be. I mean, he was probably never felt like the spotlight before, but now it's for sure.
So you were saying about the shed, though, Anthony?
Oh yeah, so kind of that's where he gets the knife, and then jumping after to when after he kills the gang member that killed his son, you do have his wife kind of confront him when he gets home, and he kind of brushes it off because he has the cut on his hand. But even then.
He fell down the stairs or some shit.
Yeah, you get the sense that his wife knows that something is up because I mean she didn't want to go with him to the court hearing.
Yeah.
And then when he comes home and tells her like he got off and then doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Doesn't want to explain the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you start to see the slow like the unraveling of his family with the younger son kind of feeling more distant and the wife who already is kind of like checked out. But then you do get two important scenes after that. You get Billy and his gang meeting up. Well, actually, no, before that, you get Aisha Tyler. Oh my God.
Detective Aisha.
She goes to Bacon's job to let him know that the guy that was on trial to have killed his son but got off is now dead. There's a scene where
which, by the way,
focuses on Kevin.
if you're not under suspicion, they call you for that sort of thing. They don't come to your fucking office.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously Bacon's character, he kind of like brushes it off.
Yeah, like, oh, like good. I can't say I'm not.
He does a delayed like, oh, okay. But then they cue in on his fist to do like the shaking like Arthur fist meme kind of.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Aisha Tyler picks up on it, and she's a detective. It's in her job.
That's her character.
She would question him further with the cut on his hand. If you're not watching, I'm doing the hand things because she pisses me off. So yeah, like she doesn't pursue him any further. Doesn't do any more questioning. Doesn't bring up the hand. Doesn't bring up his like lack of like an appropriate response.
I mean, any emotion at all. Like he just didn't do anything.
Which is fine because it would, I guess the rest of the movie wouldn't happen. But the problem is her character is so shitty and oblivious
what was the
to
point?
her job. You can remove her from the movie and insert just a bland detective, and you wouldn't miss her.
Well,
like,
okay, so fast forwarding to later in the movie when she tells him, "If you started a war, I'm not here to save you." And it's like, so why the fuck are you here?
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? You're a cop.
That's your job.
If you're not going to protect me, go get somebody who does give a shit. Like, why are you here, bitch? Like, yeah, her writing was just ridiculous.
Like, it would have made much more sense if, like, she had a vendetta with that crew as well, and she had, like, some...
Or if she was working with them and, like, was the one giving the positions and the access.
She does make a reference that she's like, oh, we're watching them, we're trying to pick them up. Like...
Yeah.
She does make a reference that they know them.
By the way, how hard is it to pick up the motherfucker? He's 3 blocks down in the abandoned concrete building. There's where the barrel fire and everything by the church. Like, he's in the abandoned mental hospital. Why are we searching? They've got a fucking meth lab in there. What are we searching for?
But then we do jump to the scene after that where Billy and his gang find out that his younger brother has been killed. And this is my other problem with this movie. So tattoos in movies. In some movies they're done okay.
Tyson tattoos.
In other movies they're done really shitty. In this movie they're awful.
They are the tattoo equivalent of WWF No Mercy, where you're putting them on your character. Like whoever's the tattoo designer played that game a lot.
You get to move it up and down.
Which random button and the slider.
Move it around.
Which out of my 2 tribal do you want on this arm?
And then they're so glossy. They're so fucking glossy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, that's how you know that they were the lay-on.
Yeah.
But it just looks so bad. It looks so bad. But anyways,
the budget went to pay Kevin Bacon, man, and Kelly Preston.
Also, it's so weird seeing Kevin Bacon in this role after having rewatched Hollow Man. Like just the difference in his character, him going from being like an asshole to like a good dad who eventually turns into a psycho.
See,
he should be working.
But that really, there's a scene in this movie that really, and we can't get to it yet actually because that would be glossing over a lot. Okay, so let's move on a little bit with the story. So we're getting to the point where like so one of the pivotal scenes, and this is when it brings up the idea of them being able to open fire in the middle of the day in public and still not be in jail somehow.
Where did this take place in the first place? That was something I was trying to figure out.
What's that?
Where did it take place? Is it like New York or?
No, it's got to be like a smaller.
Really say.
Yeah, they don't really give you a location.
They never. Okay.
Oh, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
South Carolina.
That makes sense for the area. I
okay.
guess. But
I thought you were going to say that makes sense for shooting out in public.
Oh no, that would be Chicago streets.
I'm trying to figure out like the layout of the area and what, because it would make sense.
That would make sense to why you can go from like Richie White to ghetto. Once again, South Side of Chicago is the same shit.
Yeah, if it was Chicago, you'd understand too.
Yeah. So I
They're
get that sort of area, kind of. So they're going through, and basically, it gets to the point where they know where he works. They're following him. They're kind of like, this is right after the main guy finds out his brother's dead. So they get into this chase, which is a really long fucking scene. Like, the chase scene is like, it's through
the winded bacon scene, as I like to call it. The winded bacon.
Through the fucking alleyways and Chinese restaurants and literally they go through the entire fucking town in this chase scene.
Well, that's one thing that I was questioning about where this takes place, because a lot of when they go into the restaurant, it feels like it takes place underground, kind of like how Chicago is, where you can go into like Lower Wacker and fucking cross the fucking whole area.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because he comes out and says, "Where's 1801? Where's 1801? Whatever street." And so he's like trying to figure out what direction he's in. So that's why I was trying to figure out where they were at.
Yeah,
in reference to like how underground.
You could tell it's the downtown of a city that's small.
Yeah.
Like, outside that zone that he's running, there's probably not much. Like, that's the downtown of South Carolina, wherever he is. So, like, they were like, we need to find the biggest buildings in this fucking state. And so they went to, like, that, you know what I mean? And we need the biggest parking garage we could find. 6 stories, it'll have to do, you know what I mean? Like, that's just shooting on location. Sorry, Louis, go ahead.
Oh, no, so I just want to say one thing about the running scene really quick. I was dying laughing this whole scene because Matt said, it is a very long scene. There's a lot of cool shit that happens. What I kept noticing is they were filming the guys running and then Kevin Bacon running, and then it flipped back and forth. Some scenes you'd see Kevin Bacon running and the gang members behind. But I think a lot of the main reason why it's 2 separate cuts and it jumps back and forth, because if you watch the movie again and the scenes where it's Kevin Bacon running, it's Kevin Bacon, an old man, running. And then when it flips to the gang members, if you look at them, they are literally running faster than Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the scene is so long, you're like, they would have caught up by now.
Yeah, like, he takes so long to get through the fucking doorways. Like, he'd have been stabbed in the back 16 times.
Well, they had him hitting so many obstacles.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Not only that, if you watch the footage jumping back and forth, because I kept rewinding,
the cadence of each.
Their legs are moving faster than Kevin Bacon.
They're young men. Like, he's an old dude, like, in an overcoat, and they're this young dudes in jeans and leather jackets. Like, I don't know. That whole scene bothered me.
I'll let you.
When did he become like a combat fucking veteran though? Because he's walking. All of a sudden, he feels the guy coming up behind him with a gun, and he turns around and hits him with his briefcase.
That's that Daredevil sense. He heard.
When he got bit by a radioactive spider and got the spidey sense shit going.
Like, by the end of that scene, because it's the fucking chase scene takes forever. Like, excuse me, 1 second. I'm literally watching it and I'm getting annoyed. I'm sitting in the chair like, enough with the fucking chase scene. And so then it culminates to where they get to the parking garage, and then there's another fucking chase scene up the parking garage. And then he starts hitting the alarms on the cars, which at first I was like, that's not a bad idea. And then he starts going up the fucking ramp and doing it up the ramp. So it's like, oh, so now you're trying to tell them you're going up there then. You're signaling them, hey, guys, I'm going this way. We'll meet upstairs for a picnic. Like, what the... I'm watching, I was like, stop hitting the fucking alarms. They know what floor you're on now, you fucking idiot. And so then he makes his way to the top, and there's a tussle. They get into the one car, and he's, fisticuffs with the guy in the car. Somehow they throw it in a neutral, because they're, doing sexy time in the front seat.
Because it happens.
Yeah, as it happens. Gear knob goes up the butt, and it gets pulled. It happens.
And it's not a standard car. It's a automatic,
it's not stick shift. So, yeah, you could totally go ahead and shift into neutral on a fucking automatic. With no power, with no power. But so it rolls back, and he narrowly escapes the car as the second of the gang of people he murders goes over the edge in the car and kaplooey. It's a nice little, not explosion, but... and then he gets into his car, which was conveniently parked right next to that car, and takes off. Like, I guess it justifies him running all the way up the parking garage, but it's still fucking stupid.
And it's not suspect at all.
Yeah, like they don't have records of so-and-so Hume has a spot here that he pays monthly for. Like, unless it's a goddamn hospital parking garage, that's an assigned spot. Like, he's paying money for that. Like, they could, like, Aisha, terrible Detective Tyler, at least could be sitting there going, you're not checking the logs from this morning when he parked the fucking thing there, going, who was...
Like, what does she do?
World's worst detective. Well, not only that, but she still needs more evidence to go arrest the gang that is opening fire in the middle of the fucking day on the only main street in this entire fucking state, and you still can't arrest them?
Probably across the street from his fucking job, or in the same building.
How many bald, tattooed assholes are running the show in the area that you couldn't get a witness to say, yeah, it's that bald, tattooed asshole who was firing a gun in the air? Like, are you kidding me? Come on. No. Like, I like this movie, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. She's the worst cop in the world that she can't arrest these guys. They literally have a goddamn meth factory in an abandoned... So not only are they squatting, but they got a meth factory where they're squatting, and you can't go fucking... What warrant do you need to kick down an abandoned building's door? You fucking kidding me? Worst cop ever. So at some point he tosses the briefcase, by the way, as he's within the 10-minute chase scene. Yeah, he whips and rather than tossing it somewhere smart, he's just like, oh, fuck this thing, and he just whips it out and it just goes wherever. And so you get to the point where he's at work and his hand's bleeding and he looks like shit, and they're like, hey man, go take a day off. And he's like, I know my son just died, but I don't need a fucking day off. Fuck you. Like, he's got that kind of like, I don't want to be home right now. I can't be home, and there's murderers after me type of thing. So then the dude shows up to his job with his fucking briefcase. They've got his ID with his address and everything. So that's just sets up foreshadowing. Like, if you're watching this movie, and at this point, when you're like, oh man, they've got his home address, if you don't understand that there's shit coming at the home, you are a dumb motherfucker. I'm just saying. Like, they set it up so much that I don't know. Like, it annoyed me how it just kind of like teleplayed it for you. Where it's like, no, we have your ID and your address, and then kill your family. Like, it was frustrating because it's the guy,
and we have a picture.
Like, I feel like the guy could have wrote the script for the movie and been like, just off an outline, like, chase, too long of a chase, ID, family, murder. Like, and they just went off the outline. He's like, improvise the rest. You're just gonna be running for 10 minutes anyways. Fucking too long of a chase scene. The Running Man didn't have that much fucking running in it.
Yeah, and then so I guess from there, does it jump to the family death scene?
So yeah, so basically he freaks out. Like, he gets the briefcase and he calls her and he tells her to basically stay. Where was she that she was at?
They were at home. She was at home.
Yeah,
it looked like her office at home or some shit like that. She had an office at home or something.
I'm calling the cops, and it's like the fucking cliched thing in the movie where the wife is like, "What's happening?" And he's like, "Just listen to me." If I called my wife and I said, "Get yourself safe and secure. I don't have time for questions. I love you," I would hear, "I love you, goodbye." No bullshit questions. No, what's going on? You just do what I asked you to do so you can be safe. I will explain when I get home. Once again, they do not live in the same world I live in. These are lily white characters. I get it, but come on.
There was a problem, though, when he shows up and there's a police car out in front because he calls Detective Aisha, and he tells her, get my family safe. And she says, okay, I'm going to have people there. The cops are there. He gets out and he starts running through the car. And he's looking back and forth. And he keeps looking as he's running to the house, and the police are there. Like, what the fuck more does he have to look for?
They don't have lights on. It's not like they have sirens going to where your family's already dead.
And it's broad daylight. He runs in the house, and he's fucking freaking out. He's checking all the windows and locking doors, and if a real criminal is coming to kill your family, they don't care if its fucking windows are locked.
Wouldn't it be nice if you were enforcing your Second Amendment right about now, there, Mr. Bacon? And then
owning a gun instead of a fucking machete or a fucking knife.
Well, that's like when I remember talking about buying a gun a long time ago, and my wife literally looked at me and she's like, "Do we really need one?" And she's like, and I was like, "Are you? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd like one for home protection." And she's like, "What about if you just got like a machete or something?" And I looked at her and I go, "So you think it's better for somebody to break into our home and rather than me shooting them in a leg or maybe a non-vital organ, to hack them to death with a machete because they broke in? Like, what? How is that not more violent than just a quick little, hey, lay down on the floor and bleed for a bit. The cops will be here in a second." Like, so gun ownership, and like that's the other thing is, it's a big problem I have with this movie of the family they paint. Because, like I said, it is the idyllic, like, on the facade of a family, but then it starts to crumble real fast, and it's like each one of them's an individual. Like, when the oldest son dies, the family structure's gone with him. Like, they're all just three kind of people passing in the wind. Or passing wind. And so it gets to the point where he's spooked, he knows they're going to come for him, and sure enough, they do. And Lewis or Alex, one of you want to go ahead and let us know the festivities that take place?
Go ahead, Alex.
Good. I think. Oh, you're going to. Okay, so the after he goes through his whole little spiel about trying to figure out if the house is safe, he gets that little thing that we talked about. I don't know if it was off camera or off show.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I have to say it. The whole thing about her. When he's like spooked and she's like, "I'm gonna warn you, if you I'll have men here, but if you started a war," and it's like,
yeah,
bitch, that's not how it works. You're the fucking police. You already said you're investigating these people. Protect my family. Like, you don't get to hold that against me.
Well, he does say that I don't care what happens to me, but keep my family safe. So he admittedly says, "What's that?"
Which she fails to fucking do.
Yeah.
She's a complete failure from the start to the end.
Yeah, and then she leaves just one squad car with two guys who are fucking probably new.
If you watch movies like we do, you know exactly what's going to fucking happen to them.
I'm gonna let you guys keep going because my kid just woke up. I'll be right back.
You were made to fight.
Hey guys, we're back. Sorry, I had to dip out for a minute there. So where we left off, so Nick essentially, what you think, loses his whole family after, and I want to bring up the scene where the gang members break in and try to execute him and his wife and his kid. So like, Nick killed the main bad guy's younger brother, and you would think,
or Joey or some shit.
Yeah, Joey. You would think, like, since this guy has a vendetta out for this fucking dude, that he would like plug Kevin Bacon's character in the head.
Yeah, just once in the side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's a kidney shot.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that just before he came back, and yeah.
Well, not only that,
one shot.
Kevin Bacon puts up a pretty good fight. Like, if it was just Kevin Bacon versus one dude in the house, he'd have fucked him up.
Well, I don't know where you're going with what you were going to say, but like he has this whole thing about where he kind of clouds. No, I don't want to step on toes. We say this shit all the time. We have this delay.
It sound like your conversation's stupid. I'm going to say something better.
So if I was just a listener and I heard, I don't know where that's going to be going to, or I don't know what there's going to be what you're going to say, but anyways, like, I know you didn't mean it that way.
You know how I am.
I know you didn't mean it that way, but it just made me fucking laugh. I don't know where you're going with that, but anyways, like
no, because what I'm trying to say is, oh god, you know what?
No, please continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. It's just when I heard it, it was like, And then I looked at your face, and I know even you were like, I didn't mean it that way. Like, even you had that, like, initial, like, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, well, it's tough because we all have our thoughts of how we say things, and I didn't want to like.
Also doing a video,
I didn't want to interrupt on his thoughts.
We're doing a video call too, so we're not in person. It was just like it went silent
and there's
for
a big
second,
delay,
and you're like, I don't know where you're going with this, but.
I was thinking in my head, like, I'm just gonna go fuck myself. Okay,
Lewis is like, I'll be over here fucking myself if you need anything. Don't mind me.
Oh god, I'm gonna take my glasses off for 5 minutes.
Get it together.
I'm not gonna see shit while we're talking.
Get it together. It's probably best.
All right. So what I meant was, there's a point where you see Bacon's character where like it's him trying to fight himself to protect his family again.
Yeah.
And that, as a family man myself, it was just like so fucking. It was hard on me.
He played it well
and
too. Like it's literally like to the point of like he's kind of like an animal released from a cage. Like as soon as he understands the stakes, he's like all in.
Yeah, and then he realizes that he can't fucking make it, but he's still gonna fucking try.
I mean, he does some damage.
That's like that is something that always sits in my head when I see some situations like that. I'm like, what the fuck would I do?
I mean,
off topic.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say off topic. When I first played the game Dead Rising, and there's that scene where is it Dead Rising? No, the one where oh god, is it Dead Rising? But there's a game about zombies. Dead Island. There you go. There's a scene where the guy where he picks up his daughter and she's biting him and he throws her out the window, and I'm like, I have a fucking child. When that movie came out, my daughter was literally like 2 years old. And I'm like, what the fuck would I do if my daughter tried to bite me if she was a zombie?
Yeah, Dead Island was rough.
And he threw her out the window. I was like, holy shit. So
wait, is this a movie or a game?
No, it's a game.
Look, that's a game.
Okay, I remember they released just that trailer of that portion, and even for its time, you were like, holy fucking shit.
When it goes to the resort hotel, yeah.
Yes. So watching that
through there too.
So having that in my head and then watching Death Sentence, I was like, holy shit, this is kind of like reminiscent of that, because now he knows what's going to happen and he has to try to fucking do something to change it. And you see him fighting and it doesn't work in his favor. But I'm sorry, I went over into all different directions and it made us laugh and cry and shit.
No, but it's even and I mentioned that when we started talking about this movie, like, not even if you don't have kids, if you're just like a family man, like you can't not watch these movies and think like, the fuck would I do in that situation?
Oh, exactly.
So here's the thing, like that's where I feel I got an advantage when I kick it up, turn it up to 11. I get Paul Walker inside of me going. Like if Kevin Bacon had a little bit of Joey inside of him in this movie, he may have been a little bit more prosperous in saving his family, because that's where I would go. Like Kevin Bacon is like a timid animal that is forced to attack, and then that's what he becomes about by the end of the movie. And I would be a non-timid animal that is always on the attack. Like, I wouldn't have accidentally stabbed the younger brother to death. I would have cut his fucking head off. That's what I mean. Like, where I can't empathize so much with Kevin Bacon because my own personality is not nearly as passive as he is. I don't sit in my office complex waiting for them to come to me. I take the day off and I go hunting. That's the difference between me and Kevin Bacon in this movie, and that's why some of his decisions are like, you're either in or you're out, buddy. Like, stop.
Yeah.
But I do give this movie props for the ballsy approach it takes with the family.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of movies. They've already killed the major member of the movie off.
Oh God, yeah.
In the beginning, and then it's like they go full bore.
Let's add to it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, you thought he was already sad. Oh, okay.
Let's see what happens if we do this.
And this is where this movie starts to take another turn, because in the beginning of the movie, there's you have the scene where the son dies, and it's pretty violent. And then throughout the movie, it starts to escalate. The way Kelly Preston or Presley, whatever the fuck her name is, The way she gets shot, and Kevin Bacon when he gets shot, and the other son, it's not so much in your face and violent. And I don't know if the director filmed it that way, so because I don't know if they can get away with doing like a brutal family execution.
I think they could have, but I think that the way I kind of interpret the scene when I think about it is, I think they wanted to portray that as this was such a big thing for Kevin Bacon and them, but when they filmed the scene where they actually kill them, and you look at the gang members' faces, it's almost like it's anticlimactic to them. It's almost like it's just like, well, that's done. So I think that scene is shot intentionally to be much more of an emotional impact on one side, and then the absence of emotion on the other.
It was supposed to build. I think it was supposed to build how the gang or whatever they are, how they give a shit about things.
Well, yeah, I think I think the whole reason they do it is to basically say like, they're complete bad guys. They deserve everything.
Because up until that point, they just seem like a rinky-dink fucking crew, don't they?
Well, not only that, but it's like he's kicking a hornet's nest. Like, up until that point, yeah, they did the initial bad deed, but he's making it worse. And up until that point, you could basically say, like, they're hunting him because he's a dumbass. But then they go full bore, and it's like, okay, they have to be gone.
Yeah, so I guess we can move along because I really want to get to the last.
Moving right along.
Let's do a rotation. Lewis, you go first, then Alex, and then I'll go last.
Yeah, so after Kevin Bacon's stint in the hospital, he obviously wakes up. They tell him that his other son is not dead. He's basically not doing too great. And then there's the whole thing in hospital movies where they just let the patient do what he wants, like get out of bed and
escape through
run
a
through the
floor
halls
window.
in his assless chaps. And so before we get to the end, there's the scene with Nick buying the guns.
Hold on. Before we go to that, Aisha fucking Tyler again.
Oh yeah.
The dude wakes up. He's got a bullet wound, a fresh wound. His wife is dead, and his son might not wake up. Like literally, he's gonna wake up, and he's like, I don't know.
Borderline coma. Yeah.
And she literally is like, not only like poking his wound, but she's pouring salt on it because she's like,
she's still not on his side.
You wanted a war. You wanted this. Like, bitch, don't fucking lecture me. Why aren't you doing your job to prevent this? And so, like, I would have punched her in the face. I'd have been like, oh,
yeah, she still wasn't on his side.
Yeah, it was like, you did this. And then when he's like,
again, what does she get paid for?
Yeah, and he's like, well, my family. And she's like, well, at least your son's still alive. Like, doesn't say, oh, your wife is dead. Well, at least your son's still alive. I'd have been like, bitch, get out of here before I cut you. Like, I will find something to fucking stick you with. Get out of here. World's worst detective.
That IV he pulled out should have fucking went right into her fucking throat.
I will stick this into the white of your goddamn eyeball. Get out of my room. Oh, that would, dude, man. If I woke up and found out my wife is dead and my other son who hasn't been brutally murdered is going to be brutally murdered by the end of the movie, oh man, I'd go ape tit up in there.
Her character kept pissing me off every time she showed up, but yeah.
Yeah. I hated her in this movie.
She was the thing too is she didn't even talk like a detective. She didn't seem like she.
No, it was like a bitchy wife.
No, they just wanted somebody pretty to fucking put in the show, in the movie, to fucking spoof shit up.
Her character is like the angel of asshole. She just shows up to chastise him. Just like, hey.
The angel of death, the angel of asshole.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Like, hey, got another family member killed, huh? It's like, what the fuck do you do all day besides wait for me to fuck up?
You got to say that with like Mr. Hanky. Got another family member that died, huh?
the Mickey Mouse from South Park. Get your family members killed, huh?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Your son may never wake up, huh?
That made me laugh.
All right, let's go on about we meet melting John Goodman, because this was the point where he like had ballooned up and then he was losing weight. So he does look like he's melting in the movie.
So one thing I wasn't sure of. So Nick Hume, I'm assuming he goes to the bar that the gang was originally at, right?
Where they're known to be at, yeah.
Well, above the bar where he meets bald guy with the tattoos, the ones you love so much.
No. He's talking about he gets his information from the bartender from a bar that he finds out where they normally hang out.
Yeah, he roughs the guy up a little bit.
Yeah, the bartender.
And then John Goodman, I wish he was utilized more in this film because his character was fucking outlandish.
Yeah, it really was.
I think you and I said that about that too while he was gone, but I think we might have covered that.
Yeah, so Nick ends up buying a fucking arsenal. And actually, before that, Nick goes to the bank and almost looks like he clears out.
He does. He withdraws everything.
Fucking money.
Now, here's the thing about being married to a banker. Anytime somebody clears out a bank account in that form,
it's flagged.
For tens of thousands, it's flagged. And people are like, well, what are you? But she's making a joke like, oh, we're going to make some kind of big purchase or some shit like that, some to that effect.
Also, like she looks like shit too. Like,
yeah, she makes some kind of joke about him withdrawing the money.
Like at the minimum, wouldn't you be like, "Sir, are you under duress right now?"
Normally that shit is flagged big time in a real banking world. But this is also 2007.
They could
so
also,
I don't know.
But they could check. Dude, the Patriot Act changed everything. They could have checked public record for the fact that his one son was just murdered, and along with his wife and his other. You know what I mean? Like,
what is?
Yeah.
So when I saw that scene and then I got to the end of the movie, I was thinking like, what does he do with all that money though? Because he
buys the guns and I don't know.
He was going to use it as bribery to because he knows that these people are all about money. Again, that's just me speculating, and we talked about that in the last movie.
Did they say how much he had in the account?
It was over 10,000.
I mean, those guns.
It was over 10,000.
They were like what, $3 or $4 grand for the guns?
That's all the money this dude had.
I think he gave $5 grand for the guns.
Yeah,
you're a cash paying customer.
Yeah. So he took out more than $10,000 at the bank. He cleaned out his accounts. I remember something along those lines, and then I remember him giving $5,000 to Goodman's character for the guns.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I can't even remember all the fucking guns he buys. He buys a couple shotguns.
He buys
a couple 9mm.
He buys a 357.
Well, one shotgun.
He buys the dual barrel, the long, the Big Daddy, the
Wyatt Earp special. The Wyatt Earp special.
I think Wyatt Earp's was a shorter barrel than this fucking thing. It's 6 feet long.
Doesn't he buy a Magnum?
No, he buys a 45. No, he has a 357, a 357, a 45,
357,
a dual barrel. He's got a 38 or something, I think, too. I can't remember. Now, here's the thing, and I don't know if I have a problem with this or if I'm okay with it, because I understand that it's probably an homage, because this entire fucking scene becomes the end of Taxi Driver before you know it. And I'll make the similarities when we come across
them shaving his head too. Yeah,
well, that's the easiest one, and I do love that scene because he basically escapes the hospital and they show him walking in the rain. Like you just watched a movie where most of his family was slaughtered. I don't need to see him like sadly walking in the rain. Like I get it, his life sucks. Like what the fuck? You could have skipped. That's 20 seconds. I don't need of footage.
They should have played the music from The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, I was going to say that. I thought you were going to
as he walked away.
I thought you were going to say
because he was about to turn to the Hulk.
Like that would have been fitting. But then he gets home and he goes in his shed and he like crudely shaves his head. And I love it because he doesn't do a very good job, and then through the rest of the movie, it's not a very good job.
And you see the patches. I like how they stuck with continuity this time.
That means Kevin, either they filmed that entire end of the movie in a day, or he walked around for a week with fucked up hair.
With just a little bit of fucking hair sticking out.
I love that idea. Just like he did it live on camera. That's when they recorded it, and he didn't do a good job. And the rest of the movie, he doesn't have a good job of a haircut. It's great.
Whenever I shave my head, it's a pet peeve of mine to always say, "Hey, hun, come and look at my hair. Make sure it's okay. Did I get it all?"
Yeah, unfortunately, at this point in the movie, Kevin Bacon doesn't have a hun, so he's just like, fuck it.
I know.
Hey,
all shits to the wind.
Hey, honey, that's my sutures. You know, like, never mind. Because he's got the big old sutures in his fucking head, too.
And that's the other thing, too, is how better of a haircut they did around the sutures compared to what he does.
Yeah, well, they have professional medical razors. He's just like, oh, these are a little rusty, but fuck it.
I know. They actually use razors to clean off the head.
It is a little silly, but like any other movie, they would have like clean cut it, like all that. I appreciate that he looks kind of like a fucking Mad Max crackhead. Because I mean, he's a broken dude. Like he's probably in pain.
Exactly.
His hands are not great. Like it just kind of adds to the scene where like he's just shaving. He doesn't give a fuck what he looks like.
The amount of anxiety and stress that's in his fucking body that's bothering him, and for him to cut his hair like that.
And
shit happens.
This is kind of where I feel like they're trying to one up Taxi Driver. And I only say that because it's like Taxi Driver's mohawk was intentional. It was punk rock. It was to make a statement. And they were basically like, no, my interpretation is he really doesn't give a fuck. He's just done. He wants to look as scary as possible. Because he's not worried about aerodynamics. He's just trying to look scary. So I do, and I also really appreciate like how his outfit comes together. How he's got like his kid's leather jacket and he's just like looking at it and he's like, all right, fuck it, and he throws it on, and that's what he wears in the final scene. Like, I do appreciate this scene because it's almost like he's taking pieces from everything that's happened to try to basically say like, this is for my family. I'm gonna fucking kill you all whether I live or not. And I love that because it is in a lot of ways a modern day, it's a modern day mix between Death Wish and Taxi Driver, especially when you look at the tempo, because Taxi Driver is a very slow moving movie, and the last 10 minutes is a 1970s bloodbath. And
I've never seen Taxi Driver.
Really?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah. Well,
it's
what you just described, I don't think I want to watch it though.
It's a dark movie. I mean, it's designed.
10 minutes is where it's all action.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
It's basically the most of the movie is basically like, hey, look how dark and seedy and shitty New York City is in the 70s. It's an advertisement to why you don't want to be in Times Square after 9 p.m. on during that era. But so it gets to the point where he's like loaded for bear. He's got his dual barrel. He has the one guy's truck that he stole. But Lewis, we got to kind of talk about John Goodman's fate, and I'd like you to do that.
Yeah, so you do John Goodman reveals that he's the father to Joey and Billy in the scene that Kevin Bacon buys all the guns and basically gives him his blessing of like, fucking kill my kid, like it's not my problem, I don't want to know about it. But then you see that John Goodman is fucking double playing Kevin Bacon because he actually confronts Billy and basically tells him like, you started a fucking problem, you better take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it also gives you the small glimpse into the idea that they are small time and above them is John Goodman. Like he's the leader of this group of hooligans.
He's the ringleader,
yeah. So that not only is he the father, but they also give you the insight of there's this scene where he's like, if I give you small little pieces of fucking territory, I expect you to pay up. So like they don't overtly say it, but they give you that glimpse into the life of like, this guy's a total piece of shit and runs the show here, realistically.
Yeah. And basically, Goodman gets up in Billy's face to threaten him and put him in his place, and gets just fucking plugged. And when I first saw that scene, I was like, I thought maybe someone shot him from behind.
Exactly. I thought the same thing.
But then I was like, no, Billy must have like shot him in the head or something.
So when I first watched this movie, I always looked at it as Billy taking over control, as it was a power move. And now as I think about it, I think it's much more of Billy losing control. And I think what it is they parallel Kevin Bacon throughout the movie. Billy loses a family member. He takes one of Kevin Bacon's family members. And they basically go on the same path to where they're kind of the same person throughout the end of the movie. And it comes into play in that line of dialogue later on, but we'll talk about that.
What kind of pisses me off about that whole situation is you take a family member from somebody else, and then they take your family member, and now you're pissed off even more because they took your family member. That whole mindset kind of pisses me off as the movie was progressing, and I don't know how to say it. It was just like it was really aggravating. About you killed my family member. Well, you killed my family member.
Well, once again,
like it was kind of like a back and forth thing that it was kind of pissing me off about the two of them.
Once again, if Kevin Bacon would have left it alone, and just
he
killed the first guy, if he would have even just killed Joey, and just never returned, never thought about it, I don't think they had enough on him yet at that point.
Well, no, did he progress on that, or did the other guy say, well, there was a scene where he goes, there is somebody who might have had something, and that's where he connects the lines.
Really figured it out.
Daniel, Daniel, that's his name, right? Daniel.
Yeah, if he would have just sat in the courtroom,
he connected the lines
and been like, "Yeah, it was him."
Just put him in jail.
The rest of his family would have been A-okay. He would have been A-okay. He could have went on and lived his.
He could have fucking paid somebody to kill him in fucking jail.
Yeah, he said that.
He's got enough money.
He could fixated on that. You're like, motherfucker, you got money. Pay a hire hitman. Alex thinks you can like go to www.agent47.com and just hire a fucking hitman.
You can visit anybody in a fucking jail.
Jesus, Alex, you can with this. Fuck me.
I've had friends.
I'm the one who knocks.
You can visit anybody in jail. You can find a way to write to them in jail and find somebody that you could fucking. There was just so many other ways that he could have done it.
I'm going to become secret pen pals with random prisoners. I'm going to send them nude photos. And they're going to open them up and be like, "Oh, of course of me. Not I wouldn't use
cool
photos.
Just don't send me those." But yeah, that'd be awesome.
Don't ever get incarcerated. Otherwise, you're getting a care package. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, let's go on.
You got to rub the belly button.
So
just like Buddha, baby, just like Buddha.
I believe at the same time, Nick has found one of the gang members and basically forces him to call Billy and let him know that he's coming.
I think his name is Hecko or some
Hecko.
shit like that. Hecko.
And on douchebag number 2 with the tribal tattoos, I guess.
Oh God, those fucking tattoos! We're gonna do that again.
But on the call, Nick executes the gang member. So, and that's essentially where these two are like between Nick and Billy.
They're
like
the same person.
They both know. Yeah, the rest of the night, like one of them's gonna die.
Well, they do the same actions. I mean, Billy kills his son. He kills his younger brother. Then Nick kills the bald dude and the Lay Waynell when he smashes through him when he comes later on. So when you really think of it, that's why I say,
oh God, the van.
Their paths of destruction are the same. It's bing bong, bing bong.
Do you really think a van would have split like that?
You know,
I don't know. I don't know if that car that he stole from Hecko, because that's the car he stole.
A lot of those older vans though weren't weren't attached to anything other. Like the body was attached, but the back of the van was just a body, and the front cab was separate on those work vans.
I owned a van like that, and that van was a fucking tank.
So some of the older ones weren't unibody, but my problem with that scene is even if the van split, like Nick would have been fucked up.
Exactly.
But I mean, the only thing I will say is he's coming off.
He would have caught shrapnel.
He's gone psycho. He's coming off
all
probably
the adrenaline.
He's coming off being probably pain medicated in the hospital, so he's probably just now starting to feel pain. So like, he's got some shit that's Jones in him, I'd assume.
That's where I appreciate scenes like in Guns Akimbo where she is like doing copious amounts of blow to like get like
I gotta stay awake.
Fucking that adrenaline. Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah or
I gotta watch it. I keep saying that I gotta watch it.
It's actually really what's really nice about it is the premise, and what it is the idea is this guy's a keyboard warrior. He knows he's a keyboard warrior. He knows like his night is staying in, drinking Heinekens and talking and trolling people online. And what basically happens is one of the trolls is the operator of this Guns Akimbo thing, or one of these people he insults, and they show up to his front fucking door. And it's you know, there's a scene where he's like basically like, no, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I just talk shit on the internet, man. Like I love that scene because it's like
I've had that movie
online with.
I've had that movie in my fucking queue since it came out, and I kept wanting to watch it, but because of family things, I don't watch it because I want to make sure that I'm.
It is good. It's a rough movie. I mean, there's a decent amount of violence in it. Samara Weaving is great in it. She plays basically a psychopath.
A lot of times I spend my time watching movies after fucking 2:00 in the morning because everybody's finally asleep.
I watch a lot of them,
and I can watch. That's the shitty part about So, but yeah. All right, so let's keep going.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, one last thing about Guns Akimbo. It's good. The movie doesn't take itself seriously, and it's a fun movie. It's really good.
It's basically
maybe a future movie for us.
It's what the guys from Crank should have moved on to.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So after God, the guy in the van, his name is Spink. That's his name
Spink.
in the movie. After they do the Houdini thing where he drives the fucking muscle car through the van, the place that they do their meth shit at, they call it the office. So
it's literally a meth lab.
It's a church. Yeah. It's a former church.
No, mental hospital. There just happens to be a.
Okay.
They have a chapel in it.
A chapel, yeah.
Yeah. Which they've ripped everything church related out of it, but whatever. It's just basically a wood room.
Yeah, and this is where Kevin Bacon's character, essentially like a castle, starts making his way.
One by one, he starts ripping them up.
Every time you say Kevin Bacon, I want you to say it like how Matt says it. Bacon.
Bacon.
I don't know. It just sounds a lot better.
They call me Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
This is where I really. I appreciate this movie not only because of the gore, because there's so many scenes where it's that shit's
violence
fucking
ramps
happened.
up in this scene especially.
But one thing this movie does really cool is, with the exception of when he's shooting the handgun a couple times, they make it seem like Kevin Bacon doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's going in and blind firing the shotgun.
Yeah.
He's doing up close kills where he's not precise.
Yeah,
he read the manuals that John Goodman gave him.
There's a scene with the 357 where he goes to unload it and he's like, "Oh shit, bullets are falling out!" Like when he first unloads it. And I do appreciate them.
He's a book smart guy.
Well, I appreciate them equipping him with the shotgun because that is a weapon where you can pray and spray. Like you can just pot and whatever's in front of you, if you aim in front of you, is gone. So I appreciate
those are most
that.
of his kills too. I think he mainly uses the shotgun.
I think he gets the last one with the pistol, but I think most of them are shotty.
Yeah.
Which is
at the beginning of the whole.
Which makes the most sense because, like I said, all he has to do is point forward, and he'll most likely rip a leg off, like he does.
But it's just one of those things that comes back to John Goodman gave him booklets about how to use the guns, which I was like, why would he do that?
And the shotgun.
And then they show him actually reading the fucking booklets. He's a book smart person. He's a book smart person. He doesn't know how to aim, but he knows how to fucking read. How to do all this shit.
I would argue he does have a pretty abnormal good aim with the pistols and shit.
Yeah,
but they're not hard to aim, realistically.
Right. You point it and you fire in that direction. It's gonna hit whatever you're pointing at.
He doesn't,
or somewhere in that area.
He doesn't wear glasses, so you presume he's got 20/20 vision. So that's already half the battle.
I don't know, man. When I tried to fire the 38, my brother-in-law, he's like, just point and shoot, and I'm pointing, and I'm like, I got this. I fire, and it's 5 feet that way, and I'm like, this is not easy.
Well, that's where the problem comes in for me, because there's one of two ways to hit somebody with a pistol. It's either going to be down by your waist where you have your arm kind of cocked inward and the recoil isn't there because you got so much meat and weight and momentum behind it where there's nowhere to go because your elbow doesn't your shoulder blade doesn't bend that way. And then there's down the sights, accurate. Generally speaking, you don't want to fire one-handed down the sights. It's a two-handed grip for the most stability, the most accuracy. So,
depending on what kind of gun it is.
Most pistols you're going to shoot two-handed.
Yeah.
But it made me think of if you have watched Reno 911, once you get into kind of like the later half of season 1, first half of season 2, they start doing the intro skits where they're testing out guns, or they're testing out a bulletproof vest in the back, and they're always like accidentally shooting them in the leg or shooting another cop.
Well, they test the Desert Eagles on the bulletproof vest, and then the guy gets dropped, and they're like, "It went through. Get an ambulance."
Well, the one I just watched today, they go to shoot it and they blow the guy's fucking leg off as opposed to shooting him in the fucking chest.
Speaking of blowing leg off, there's actually a scene.
That's like my favorite kill too, because it goes leg.
Nice segue.
It goes leg, and then you see the leg get ripped off, and the guy, before his body's able to fall over, the next shot shoots him 5 feet backwards, like he got hit by Superman's blast.
So I was wondering about that, because I didn't bring it up, but even in Running Scared, in the opening shootout scene, can a shotgun send you in the air like that?
No, it's all part of a movie. It's all part of the movie.
What would more than likely happen with that shotgun, if somebody shot you even from that distance, would you wouldn't fly back, chunks of you would. And they wouldn't.
You might fall back.
They wouldn't go.
What if you were a midget?
You probably would rip them
maybe.
in half. No, you'd probably rip them in half. I mean, the thing about it is
the blast radius.
Like, your body's not going to go like this. Is not a natural body movement. That's a movement that was created by the Matrix. So if you get in real life, you tumble over backwards. Or you fall flat on your back. You don't go flying.
Your body's your feet may stay there, but your body's going to keep going back and then drag your feet along.
It also depends on the size and the grain of the slug, or of the shotgun round. If you're using a slug, that's the
distance.
Well, they have different, but the other thing is the grain. Like, the distance is when you're talking. That's the least power. When you've got birdshot, shit like that that spreads, that's just little metal, basically freckles that go into your skin if it's at a certain range. If you
the closer you are to the gun, theoretically, the further you are going to fly it.
Not if you get hit with like birdshot, you're not flying anywhere.
Impact. Well, okay,
you're still not gonna fly anywhere.
That's different.
But if you get now, the thing is, but then there's the other spectrum where you can get a 3-inch slug, which you don't fly backwards. The chunks it hits fly backwards through you. That's where you don't get a body, you get pieces. And that's why I said, if you have a slug like that and you do shoot a little person, you probably would rip them in half if there's that much power. So the overdramatic, like, flying through the air, like, once again, Superman punched them. So what would really happen is, behind them, there'd be a lot of chunks and blood on the wall.
So Child's Play, the movie, they actually got it right when they were shooting the little fucking doll, and pieces were flying away, and he was still standing there.
Well, it's not.
They got it right.
It's not right because it's a doll that's been possessed.
I'm just saying
they got it right thing
by
that point in the movie.
I mean, and the other thing is, like, what movies don't get right about gunplay is exit wounds. Like, when we watched Haunt. Like, he gets shot in the stomach, and all they focus on is the fact that he's got a little gun, a little bullet wound, right? Realistically, that probably A, would have pierced an organ, and B, the hole coming out of you, it would more than likely, it looked like it was either a 45 or a 357, more than likely would be this big coming out of you. So that's what movies don't get right. You see guys get shot in the shoulder all the time, and it's like, unless they're using a goddamn .22 varmint rifle, you have an exit wound, or it hits your bone and shatters your entire fucking shoulder bone, or your collarbone and everything. So movies don't get gunplay right very often at all.
On purpose.
They
don't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
Well, I mean, then you have, like, when you go back to the 90s, and you have people like Steven Seagal talking about Brandon Lee, who died from The Crow. And there's literally an interview where he's like, I don't know what happened, but... we don't use real guns in this industry. We use fake guns, and something not right. And I don't know what happened, but I'm going to find out what. I guarantee you that. He's on.
Did he ever find out?
No, fuck. He found the buffet is what he found out. Fucking. And then you watch him on his sheriff show, and if it's a black dude, it's, what's up, brother? Like, he turns into...
He's an actual sheriff now, man. What are you talking about?
No, he's an actual...
Is he?
No, he lost that job because he got accused of sexual assault. And that happened because he probably derobed in front of some unfortunate young woman, and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?"
There's just so much of you.
Yeah, like, do you still practice martial arts?
What's going on here?
I mean, he does get credit because he was like one of the first white people to be able to have their own dojo in Japan in his martial art. So at some point he was legitimate. He spoke he probably still does speak the language, but
then he inflated his ego. And,
but then everything in him inflated, and then
mostly his weight.
Yeah, his belly inflated the most. And then you see he brings out a fucking blues album. And as a guitarist, the way Steven Seagal holds the guitar is more like molesting the fucking thing.
Which makes all those claims against him sound...
Yeah. Do you rub your women like you rub your guitar? Like you have no idea what the fuck you're doing? I can only play one string at a time, so this is how I hold it.
Did you say one string at a time?
Yeah. He can play fucking Twinkle Twinkle Little Star pretty awesomely. On the fucking high E string, that asshole. So Kevin Bacon's in there. We talked about Shotgun Death with the leg, which is an awesome one. He makes his way through. There's a couple kills. You know, this is the scene of like he's done. He's murdering everything that moves. And I do like how they play it out, where like he goes with the shotgun until it's exhausted. He's got no more rounds. Then he's like, okay, and then pulls out the next one. And like, you know, the gunplay's a little unrealistic because he is landing and killing on everybody, especially at the end when he makes it to the chapel. And
he is a very crack shot, right?
Yeah, and him and Billy have their little shootout, and then the other guy appears behind him and shoots him in the neck, and he turns around without like he literally in gaming it's called 360 no scoping, where he fucking spins in a circle and shoots him in the fucking head and ices that dude. So him and Billy have a shootout. Billy's shot will most likely bleed to death. Kevin Bacon is shot in the neck and in the shoulder. And Billy can't hit him with the last few remaining rounds. So like they both sit on the same church P. And
they click.
Well, yeah, they're both empty.
Don't they? Yeah, they click, right?
But they sit on the bench. And I really love this scene because... So they kind of sit next to each other, and then Billy looks at him and he goes, "Look at you." He's like, "You're dressed like one of us." And he's like, "You're one," you know, he's like, "Look what I made you." And I love this scene because in the end, Billy wins. Doesn't matter that Billy dies.
Yeah.
He turned him into one of them. He turned him into an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Billy wins. Doesn't matter. But then the next thing that happens is Kevin Bacon pulls out Big Daddy. And I love it because he just looks at him and he rests it on his kind of like his lap, and he's like a father though. It's not like, "You ready, motherfucker?" It's kind of like he's telling his kid, "Hey, we're gonna go on this scary roller coaster," and he looks at him, like, "You ready?" And Billy looks at him kind of like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then you don't see anything else. Kevin Bacon, you know, and this is Taxi Driver, and I say this for a reason. He makes it home. He throws on the home videos. Now, Taxi Driver, for those who haven't seen it, sorry for the spoiler alert. He goes through basically this like drug den prostitution house, because the whole thing is he sees De Niro in Taxi Driver. You haven't seen it, and Alex hasn't. So he basically every night he sees the worst of the worst on the streets. He sees, you know, Jodie Foster plays a 13-year-old prostitute. He's exposed to the worst of the worst, and he basically cracks and says no more. So his whole thing is he's gonna clear the filth, and he wipes out Harvey Keitel's kind of operation in his drug house. But it's a scene where he's just wasting people. And the end of the movie is a shot of close to the end. He's on the couch, he's been shot, he's murdered a bunch of dudes, and he just kind of puts his hand to his forehead. His hand is dripping with blood, and he like, and he does, you know, he just like makes like he kills himself. And I say it's a direct either homage or ripoff, whatever, because when they come in, Kevin Bacon is bloodied. He's just sitting on the couch.
He's bleeding out.
And he gives him that look, the same type of look Robert De Niro gives, of just kind of like, now I'm done. I did what I need to do. And they leave it pretty open of whether he lives or dies.
But at what point does she say that your son's still alive?
in the hospital when the callous
No,
bitch.
doesn't she say it there? Doesn't she say it there?
That he started,
No,
he
she
started
says
to
that he
wake
woke up from the coma. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also another Aisha, bad fucking Detective Tyler. So her and the cops come into this house. And the other cops, I believe, I'd have to rewatch it. I think they have their guns drawn.
Because he drives like
she
how
doesn't.
they're the
And she
worst
doesn't.
police force in the world because he drives.
It's South Carolina.
He drives the car on top of the lawn and shuffles his way slowly into the house before police
And they're
are
all
even out of
sitting out
their
there.
cars. They're literally drinking coffee, trying to win a contest on the fucking radio. And here he comes, Charlie Bronson, back home, and like finally they show up to him. He's halfway through the goddamn home video before they get in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
also they don't come in and like clear the room. They come around the corner. Aisha just walks up like, "Oh, hey, your son just woke up from a coma."
And she doesn't even have her gun drawn. She just walks in. Hey, how's it going?
Like,
How
frankly,
did she
I'd have
get that
shot her.
job?
I'm Detective Aisha. How's it going?
I'd have shot her if I'd have been like, I've already racked up 8 murders tonight. You're a bitch. You're dead. Like, you like because I just think back to when she tells him that his wife is dead in the hospital, and she's like, "Well, your son's over there, may not wake up, and at least he's alive." And it's just like, where can I file a complaint? You fuck. Like, oh.
And I know it's
I was not a
meant
fan
to
of her.
be ambiguous, but I would assume the movie makes more sense to me that he dies there on the couch.
See, I would argue that the movie makes
Yeah.
more sense that he lives because his son wakes up. Like, so I would agree.
I
with
thought he
you
died.
That when you watch it, it's like, okay, he's clearly gonna die. I kind of look at it when you analyze it as a rebirth. Like, he's washed the sins. His son is waking up and will live. That's why he looks at her when she says it with that kind of like, okay. So I like to think that they eventually get an ambulance to him a half hour later, and he makes it. I don't know though.
For me, I feel like he died, and his son is the only survivor.
Yeah, because for me,
that's
like
just for me too.
the line when Billy tells him like, "Look what I made you," like, at least for me, I get the sense like Kevin Bacon realizes like he went too far.
Yeah. And then he finished what he started, and then he ended what he started by dying at home watching home videos. That's just for me.
But there's so much like between him and the young son of like, well, he was your favorite, and he's like, no, but I love you too. Like, they do build it up to where it's a rebirth with them. Where they, you know what I mean? Like, if he survives and doesn't go to prison... Your older brother
just had to die for us to get closer.
If he survives and doesn't go to prison for murdering 8 gang members...
It takes mom and your brother to die, yeah.
Yeah, he would go to prison for life.
Well, he's not going to be home if he does survive.
Realistically, he could plead temporary insanity and spend a little bit in a psych.
Nah, I don't think that's going to go very far.
With your
like
son,
a small...
with your
like
son
a small
being
country town.
Yeah, exactly. These hooligans, we're gonna prosecute Mr. Nick Hume, who is the best insurance estimator guy
assessment
in fucking South Carolina. Like, that's the thing is, okay.
But then there's also going to be somebody who creates the argument of he's an assessment.
The prosecutor will. But then again, your son just gets wasted out of the blue, which then triggers all this. You can prove temporary insanity from the time your son is murdered. Simple as that.
Okay.
Because then your wife is clocked, your son is clocked, and then you actually do damage. He only off Joey.
But
at that point they have no evidence.
No true evidence. Yeah.
So
they did have the evidence, but just fucking Detective Aisha doesn't know how to fucking.
Well, they had a knife that he used that was buried in his like shed at one point. So it's like
anytime you're stabbing somebody, you get fucking a wound like that. There was something that
blood.
Yeah.
Skin freckles from your
There should have been blood. There should have been blood. There should have been blood if he had a head.
After the credits roll on this movie, like, he's fucked over his young son.
Oh, it took all the money that the family had, spent it on guns. And then, because at that point it was, well, he's probably not going to wake up, so fuck it. Yeah. And then, of course, the kid wakes up.
And the young son loses the dad because dad's going to be in jail for the rest of his life.
If he doesn't bleed out on the couch watching home videos.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a fucked up ending.
It is. But it's as a father, it's one of those fucking movies like, I might have done a lot of things the same, but there's a lot of shit that I would have done differently.
I think the whole point,
knowing that I watched a lot of these movies.
yeah, I know that there's a social commentary that goes along with this movie that has the element of like, it kind of like take your average man and put him in extenuating circumstances and see what happens. And I think the point is, doesn't matter who it is, how happy or how deranged you are, the right circumstances, you will become the same person.
You're going to defend your family.
Well, you're always going to go back to the animalistic side. If it gets to that point, the animal will always take over.
I will 100% defend my family no matter what the fucking reason. Well, depending on the extent of whatever is being brought to. But even if it's an argument, I will still defend my family.
Tell you what, Alex.
Even if it's right or wrong.
I'm going to make this pledge. I'll defend your family with violence. I ain't got no problem with that. Lewis, you too. I'll defend him with violence.
Well, you even
Shit
get the
goes
bits
down.
and-
You give me a call. You send me a text. Carrier pigeon. I don't give a fuck.
You get the
Hey,
small.
someone call my daughter a thief. You're going to be here, right?
I'm already at your doorstep, ready to go.
You get the small moments in the movie where like you even oddly in a way understand Billy's being upset with his younger brother being killed, which is a weird thing to sympathize with in certain scenes.
Well, once again, it's, I think the movie does a good job of kind of saying, hey, these guys are pieces of shit, but they're still human.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the point that it makes is like, these guys are at this spectrum, and then in the beginning he's at this spectrum, and by the end of the movie, it's kind of an alignment there where they're both on the same track to the same conclusion. They're doing the same evil deeds for what are they both feel are justified reasons. They're very much the same character. It's kind of like a spy versus spy, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's actually a good analogy.
But I think now, anybody else have anything to kind of say, point out for Death Sentence, or should we go ahead and give it the old Chicago review?
I'm doing a quick overview, but I think we're almost there.
No, do an overview. Let's do it.
No, I'm doing a quick glance of what I have written, but we covered all the stuff that I was actually noting down too.
Fucking
So,
Again, the weirdest thing in this movie to me is the constant inspirational music.
The Hallmark
And
music.
the tattoos.
Other than that, it's a good movie, though.
My biggest
I
issue
guess.
is there's scenes where I just skip ahead because they're fucking boring. Like, I don't need a 10-minute scene of him nervous in his office.
You made a text once to us saying that you watched it again for the third or second or third time, and you fast forwarded through all the talkity scenes.
Because they're not important. Like, half of them are Aisha Tyler being a bitch. The other half is his wife not understanding that he's going through a psychotic break. The other half is him at work nervous. Like, I've seen it so many times, I don't need the in-betweens at this point because it's useless to me. Because
25-minute running scene.
Yeah, the chase. I mean, I didn't fast forward through the chase, but frankly, you could fast forward to 2 minutes of the motherfucker and still be like, this is way too long.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go first.
All right.
I'm gonna give this a 3.5. Chicago Dogs out of 5. Take it away.
Chicago Dogs out of 5. I like how you said that. Say it again.
Yeah,
Chicago Dogs.
Chicago Dogs.
Dogs.
I'll go next, and I was actually thinking the same score, or the same rating. Oddly enough, we chose two movies that kind of had a lot of filler in them.
Yeah.
This movie executed it better than Blood Vessel, that shit show.
I don't think Blood Vessel wasn't even filler. And to me, it feels like the movie doesn't begin until the end. Like, it gives you 20 minutes, and even then, when you get there, there's so much not explained that it's like half a movie.
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on how you interpret it, but yeah.
I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
just think if
I
you're
would
doing a creature flick, there's got to be mythology, and it just didn't.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I'd go with 3.5.
Chicago Dorks.
I'm gonna go with 3. You guys did 3.5. I'm sorry,
Fuck
but it's a half. Come on.
That's a big
No, but I did enjoy the movie, and it was all there, man. But there was like, I don't know how to put it. the shooting scenes. You know, when he's actually fucking dead eye. You know, he's a dead eye fucking shoot, and he doesn't know how to use a gun.
He pressed down on the right trigger when he was firing and activated fucking dead eye for sure.
He actually had to read a manual how to load the gun and all this stuff, and how it progressed on from there. But as far as like what you would do it as far as a family man, a fucking 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying 3. It's right in the middle.
I mean, here's the thing though. The only thing that I don't find to make any sense is like, you're an average dude. You don't have any criminal history. Like, why wouldn't you have gotten a piece for the house? Like, this happens over several weeks. It's a 3-day waiting period. Like, you got money. You got money enough to go pull out $5,000 for illegal
just to own
weapons.
Something at home.
Like, why wouldn't you have gotten something to, like, the cops are useless.
What is the time span between his son dying and to the end?
I want to say,
is it like a month or 2, or is it like weeks?
It's got to be anywhere between 3 weeks to a month and a half, because like the kid has time to go to trial and stuff like that. Like
so he should have at some point, if he really was feeling this, he would have bought a gun.
Oh, we lost Lewis.
Yeah,
Lewis.
welcome back.
Discord was like,
peace out.
No, but me as a person, I would have bought a gun somewhere in between that time if my kid was killed, just because I was not fucking sure. So
not only that, but I would have gotten myself some training on it.
Yeah,
like I would have sought out training on how to operate it and gotten the weapon. So like, if that scenario ever happens again, I'm not helpless. I wouldn't be buying a piece for like, I can't wait to get revenge. It would have been like, I'll never let this happen to me or my family again.
Exactly.
You mean you're not gonna go to a gun shop like fucking Dr. Loomis, be like, which one you got? Is this the best one?
Which ones
Can I get this one?
Which ones make the biggest holes? All right, we're gonna take a short break. This one's intended. If you are, if you're listening, you're gonna hear from our sponsor, Anchor. If you're watching, we'll be right back with you. Thank you. Be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you. That was a word from our sponsor. Now we've come to the part of the show where we go through our, Lewis belovedly named it last week. We're gonna now go with the shit list.
Shit list.
You know, and it's not necessarily the movies that are on the list. It's also the writing, how the people write the lists, the choices and how they.
The people who make the list is the shit list.
It's not always the movies that are the shitty problem. It's a lot of the times it's the assholes who write these lists. But,
or the people that try to describe the movies.
Yeah, it's like
a wacky time.
Hey, I just used 6 adjectives to describe Grease. I'm a great writer. Go fuck off. So this list is 13 killer revenge movies best served cold. Stupid title. That's what I mean. Shit list. It's garbage. By someone named Oren Gray. It's got to be a fake name. So we're going to start in, I assume...
Why does he have 2 R's?
Because he's an asshole. I'm going to assume
why
that
not
this
just one R?
no particular order. But we'll just start at the top, which the first movie they list is Old Boy. Which, if you are unfamiliar, is a classic at this point Korean revenge film about a man who is trapped in a prison for a decade and finally escapes to seek revenge on those who had held him captive. Has a very sickening twist ending, but awesome movie.
Yeah, and I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but there is a awesome one-take scene with a hammer. It's one of the coolest scenes in a movie.
If you're a fan of old school like side-scrolling beat 'em ups, it's a wet dream of a scene.
Yeah.
So
oh god.
No, I was gonna say this explains a lot for me. Is the reason why I haven't seen it is because it came out in 2003, and I was in the mix of trying to deal with trying to get a relationship with my wife and watching movies.
My wife.
So yeah, my wife.
There is a remake that came out in 2013, which is it's an okay movie.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The only redeeming part of that movie is Elizabeth Olsen's nude scene.
Oh, for the remake?
Yeah, that's it.
In the movie, they try to replicate the hammer scene as well with Josh Brolin, and it's just not the same.
No,
I would say.
How can it be?
No.
from the list we're watching, the actual frame that they show from the movie Oldboy is the guy with the hammer. So that obviously is.
That's kind of the beginning of that scene. Yeah.
It is the pinnacle of what everybody's trying to say about the movie Oldboy.
It's the best.
And what you said, is the hammer.
If you're not going to watch this movie, look up that scene from the original on YouTube. It's a fucking awesome scene.
If you're an action movie fan, it's just one of the coolest, most brutal fight scenes that doesn't really involve kung fu. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a hallway full of goons that he's just going through with this hammer, and it's shot wonderfully. It goes from the side view to like right above his head. It's a brutal, badass action scene that if you don't watch the movie, if you say, fuck this Korean drama, I just want to watch some violence, watch this scene. It's beautiful.
I would argue you wouldn't have that cool scene in Daredevil without this movie.
No. Daredevil the one-shot action scenes they have take direct inspiration from Oldboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a running list of all the movies that you guys mentioned that I should watch. And little by little, I'm getting through them. And at some point, we have to like fucking go over these movies that we talk about.
Well, we'll call
do a revisit.
We'll call it your education, and we'll test you on it.
We'll call it Alex's re-education.
Yeah, exactly.
Floppy seconds.
The re-education of Alex.
There you go. We got to brainwash you into loving these movies.
No, because I really love movies, and my thoughts of how movies are from when I had my child fucking fell off the fucking, it fell off the spectrum because I have to watch what my family's gonna watch and shit like that. So I find myself a lot of times watching movies by myself, and I don't like it.
I mean, I always do firmly believe in the strategy of just being a bad father and ignoring your bad father and husband. You ignore your wife and kids, and you watch whatever the fuck you want to watch. And when the kids are crying, just say, baby, shut the fuck up. I'm watching a movie, please. And
it's okay. Just shut up.
By the forehead, just push her on the ground.
You gotta do what you did to me. Just poking the forehead.
Give a little flick every now and then. Shut up. Just keep walking.
Remember, family is expendable. Movies last forever. All right, so not really numbered, but number 2 that we're going over on the list.
Next.
Another Asian movie called I Saw the Devil.
When did this come out?
I want to say 2006 or so.
So I have not seen this, but it's from the same guy who did Oldboy, which makes me want to watch
Which is,
this.
I think, he was involved in Ichi the Killer as well.
That's a good movie as well.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I saw that one. So
I Saw the Devil. The premise is basically there's a serial killer who's ripping people up, and this kind of cop goes, it affects his family. And the basic premise of the story is to kill the monster, you must become the monster. And it flips from basically there being a serial killer hunting other people to this cop hunts and traps the serial killer. And the ending is one of the most satisfying ways you end a movie like that I think I've ever seen. The Koreans don't pull any fucking punches. I'll put it that way. But it's good. If you're interested in this sort of like movie with like the hardcore Korean violence meets the Korean family drama, it's excellent.
I've got nothing going back as far as 2010, so that's crazy.
Oh, sorry. It isn't done by the same guy as Oldboy. It's the name sounded similar. I'm sorry to the Asian community.
I don't know, calligraphy. Following Agent Kim Joo-hyung. Yeah, so it's his basically this guy kills his fiance, and it's a brutal fucking scene, which gets him involved. And he essentially becomes a serial killer himself trying to track this guy.
Okay.
All right, so The Handmaiden is the next movie up, and I've honestly never seen it.
This is by the guy who did Oldboy.
Yeah, it's a Victorian...
This one is.
It's an adaptation of a Victorian-era crime novel called Fingersmith, and it's Japanese-occupied Korea instead of London, where I guess the book is set. And it's a con man and a pickpocket strive to swindle an heiress out of her inheritance. I don't know. Even if this was an American movie, I don't think I'd have any interest in it. I'm actually pretty sure that one movie with Emma Stone might be a remake of this movie. where it's set.
What's that?
God, she plays like a handmaiden to royalty, and it's basically she's competing with another handmaiden to be the top handmaiden. I can't remember what it was called, but I haven't seen either movie. But reading the description, it sure seems like that might have been a remake of this one.
I thought you were talking about The Handmaid's Tale with Elizabeth Moss.
No, Mashed Potato Face doesn't need to be involved in this. Get her out of here. I wish she was invisible.
What would you say, mashed potato?
Mashed Potato Face, that's correct.
Yeah, she got a lumpy face.
There's two actors that are Mashed Potato Face. It's her and Gerard Butler.
I thought you meant Daniel Baldwin. Okay.
No, Daniel Baldwin is can't wake up
Stroke
properly
face.
in a movie.
Stroke face.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I just remember you being like, why would he throw a rock? What a fucking thing to pick apart in a
There's
movie.
a montage. There's a montage of them walking, and he fucking picks up a rock and throws it. Why?
But okay, so
Why?
I guess my biggest thing about it was there are scenes that you can
the wrist
clearly,
muscles.
like you can clearly point to as it all being bad acting on Daniel Baldwin, and you
And
choose
then
the
him
scene
waking
where,
up.
and you choose the scene where in the movie he's scripted to pick up the rock and throw it. It's like you could have.
And then
The scene where he's at the gas station would have been a perfect example of shitty Daniel Baldwin acting.
any facial expression he made was a fucking bad choice of
I don't know,
the
man.
fucking
At
movie.
the end of the movie, when he's like, 2 days, and I still covered your ass. I felt it.
I got 2 days.
I felt it, man. I felt it.
Yeah.
I want, you know what?
Whatever.
We're going to do a reading. That's what we need to do. You are going to do a live reading of a couple of the scenes in dialogue. I'll play James Woods. Lewis can play Padre, and you're going to be fucking Daniel Baldwin.
Padre.
I gave you Padre because he's my favorite character. He goes from like pussy religious dude to badass vampire hunter in like 45 minutes a movie.
Padre.
So like Lewis is Padre.
And you get mahogany. And you get mahogany at the end.
So,
all right, Lewis?
So you have to be Daniel Baldwin, and we're gonna go over 3 scenes.
You get nothing but fucking nothing.
We'll go over the him waking up scene, and Lewis or I will play the chick. We'll go over the end scene.
I make a better chick. I'll play the chick.
in the videos you do. You really do.
Is there any way that we could get like our faces to all to be the person that we're talking about each time?
No, but I can figure it out otherwise. For the intro, we'll do a whole intro on that.
I can sit still as much as you would like for me to do.
I think you need to prove to us how bad he was by showing us how it's done.
Baldwin's facial expressions alone, fucking.
I think
bullshit,
you need to
dude.
hone it.
Okay.
You need to hone in because you're going to be doing a live reading of scenes. I'm telling you, it's going to fucking happen. I'm telling you. All right. Obviously, this next one. I think what we're at number 4.
Something like that.
The John Wick, the Bubba Digga,
John Wick.
or the Bubba. What was it? The Bubba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. Baba
Boogie
Yaga.
John Wick.
So one of my favorite scenes in the original John Wick is when he's described when the Russian gangster is describing John Wick after he has the phone call with John Wick, where the only thing John Wick says is, and then he hangs up the phone. So my favorite scene is he's talking to the lawyer guy, and he's like, I saw him take out 3 guys in a bar with a fucking pencil. And then he does that like to scare him. And that whole scene's great because you see he's literally just sitting at the fireplace like, we are fucked. And I love that guy, rest in peace. It's sad that he's gone, but I love
he passed?
Yeah, he was the main guy in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original trilogy. He played Daniel Craig's role in the original trilogy. But yeah, he unfortunately he passed away a year or 2 ago. So that's that sucks. But John Wick is everyone who is anyone at this point. John Wick is part of culture. It's not just a movie. Number 5 is a movie that I've seen the original, and I also like the remake, Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. This is Michael Caine and his badass like sideburns 1970s era Michael Caine. You know, that's not where we're not at the Michael Caine where he's like, and then we burned the forest down. Like, we're not there yet. So this is him basically, he comes back
I have no idea what the hell you just said, but okay.
From Batman when he's telling the story, and he's like,
We came across the village. You know what we did? We burned the forest down.
like, I love that
Okay.
scene. But anyways, He comes back to his hometown in mind. His brother, his hometown. His brother is dead. He doesn't believe the story they're trying to feed, and he goes. He's kind of investigates it himself. I don't really remember all of the circumstances of his character in the the original Get Carter. In the Stallone version, he's very much like a Las Vegas tough guy. He's a collections guy, works for the mob type guy. So when he comes into town, he in his mind is like this, I'm a badass, I'm going to find out what happens. And, if you haven't seen Get Carter, the remake with Stallone, I do really love that movie. It's got some great actors. I mean, you've got Michael Caine as a role in it, Mickey Rourke, Dr. Cox, John C. McKinley.
Oh shit!
So it's got a really good cast to it, and the idea it's not really an action movie so much. It's literally Stallone comes back to town for his brother's funeral, is fed a fishy story about his brother drunk driving and crashing, and he goes from there. And it ends up pertaining to the rest of the family that his brother left behind. It's a good one. Okay. Another movie that I love, and I love this movie, and not that you cannot watch the director's cut. The director's cut is shit. And I'll explain why in a second. But the movie is Payback, number 6, with Mel Gibson. Now, I love this movie since I was a kid. Dark comedy / thriller / drama / action. There's some scenes. Basically, this guy is kind of your run-of-the-mill crook. He runs jobs for people, things like that. And he gets double-crossed by the woman he loves because she finds out that he was cheating on her with a hooker. Who they were kind of like in love, but she was still a working girl. And she double crosses him, and the movie starts with him waking up with slugs getting pulled out of his back. And the whole thing is he kind of traces his steps, gets revenge, tries to get his money that they stole from him back. The director's cut removes all of the dark humor. The director's cut takes this movie and turns it into a serious, slow crime drama. And I remember I watched the director's cut kind of excited to see what they do with it, and I was like, holy shit, that was bad.
This sucks. Yeah.
James Coburn is in this movie. He's comedic relief. He's the guy that has the alligator briefcases that Mel Gibson is shooting, and he's like, those are $1,000 a briefcase. He's gone from the movie completely. Chris Christopherson plays the mob boss who has scenes in this movie, who ends up kidnapping Mel Gibson to torture him, which is an incredible scene when they take a sledgehammer to his toes, and they're going, this little piggy went to the market, and they're just fucking smashing him. They remove Chris Christopherson completely. His entire character is broken down to one scene where he is a phone call, and you don't even see him. The director's cut is shit. Like, if you watch it, always watch the original version. It's the only one that's entertaining. Anyways, number 7, Lady Snowblood. No fucking clue. Lewis, do you happen to know anything about Lady Snowblood? When you guys are watching this after I edit it, the image will have just popped up, and I'm going to use the image from the article.
It sounds like it's a movie about...
It's the ghost.
So here's the description. It's one thing to seek vengeance on your own behalf, but when you're conceived and raised as a pawn...
Lady Snowblood sounds...
Apparently this took inspiration, or Kill Bill took inspiration for this movie.
Okay.
So basically the idea is, it's the premise behind Lady Snowblood, a film that had a huge impact, blah, blah, blah. A 2-part revenge opus, Kill Bill. Maiko Kaji Yuki exists as her mother's wrath incarnate, conceived with the express goal of getting revenge on her rapist. So it sounds like this girl exists because she was raped into her mother, and then she's raised to be a murderer of these people. It sounds like a goof. Man, the Asians got some weird shit out there. I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the movies are off the fucking wall. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I even have any interest in this. It sounds weird. Next. Number 8 is Inglourious Bastards. Not so much a revenge movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, this isn't a revenge movie.
It's not a revenge movie.
Well, they're getting revenge on Hitler. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
With that said, one of the best acted and best written scenes in any movie ever is the beginning of this movie with Christoph Waltz as he describes the comparisons of rats to Dajus.
Yeah.
It is a terrifyingly horrible scene of a man who knows his power and was just fueled by hate. But Christoph Waltz is such a good actor.
His enunciation of every fucking word he does.
And it's almost like...
Every fucking word.
Like, you know how stuntmen have to have pinpoint accuracy when they drift the car? He is
or when they throw themselves into a spot.
Yeah. He is a pinpoint accurate actor. He is someone that new actors should watch. His cadence, the idea that his characters are their own characters, the difference between the Nazi Christoph Waltz and the Christoph Waltz in the Django are wildly different characters.
Yeah, opposite.
But both are the best characters in the movie acting-wise.
It's how he says the words and how he pronounces them and how it's dialogue. For him, he is a fucking dialogue actor, fucking 100%.
Yeah, he's the type of actor I would listen to him read an audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like find me Christoph Waltz narrating the Bible, I'll fucking listen to it. I mean, and with that said, you can't take away, I think Brad Pitt did great. I like Brad Pitt. I don't love every one of his movies, but I like him as an actor.
You know what? Brad Pitt is a good actor. He is.
Like, I'm sorry, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he has the best scenes in that movie. The end. Have you guys seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I have
not yet.
It's on Hulu, I think.
I love your fucking.
It may ruin the movie, but go watch the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
All I'm gonna say is, you know, this story of the Manson murders, right?
Yeah.
This is literally Brad Pitt drops acid right as these people mistake his house for the house. And then shit goes off. And it is one of his best performed scenes he's ever done. It is one of the most badass scenes he's ever had.
That's funny that we talked about acid earlier. Okay, but go ahead.
Off camera, stupid.
I know.
Still gotta tell me how much.
I can still say it.
But no, I do love Inglourious Bastards. Little bit of trivia about that movie. The hands that are choking her are not only really choking her towards the end of the movie, but they're Tarantino's hands. Christoph Waltz didn't feel comfortable with actually doing it. So not only does Tarantino step in, but she told him, you know, go as close as you can to blacking me out and actually fucking choke me. So that entire scene is legitimately her getting... She blacks out when they film it. Like,
I gotta watch it because I have no idea what you're talking about. I remember watching the movie.
Towards the end of the movie, when Christoph Waltz gets the girl who's helping the American soldiers when they're at the theater, there's the girl that helped the American soldiers that like run the theater. She runs the theater.
Yeah.
He chokes her. I don't know if it's to death or almost to death in the movie. And in that scene, it's a close up of her face with the hands on her throat. That's it. It's just her face and the hands, and it's Tarantino's hands, and he's really fucking choking her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't remember the movie, but okay.
I don't remember this movie. I don't think I've ever seen this movie. Count of Monte Cristo, but it's not the one from the 90s. This one's referencing one from it's a TV film from 75. But see, once again, the shit list, because some asshole wrote this and was like, I'm going to go deep with this one.
13 best movies.
Everybody knows Old Boy, but nobody knows the Count of Monte Cristo TV movie from 1975.
I'm 95 years old, and I'm going to give you 13 best movies.
So here's the thing. It's one of those things where it's a story. It's a very proper Shakespearean-esque story of revenge. So that's why a lot of people do compare this movie to like V for Vendetta and shit. And apparently,
look at his hair. Look at his hair and his fucking facial features.
It just, I don't know, it looks stupid. I wouldn't want to watch
I love the hair, how it just peppers into like black.
Now this next movie, I actually like the movie, but it does fall into the category of I'll kick you in your goddamn chest and cave it in and get out of my fucking house. Hard candy. This movie is hard candy. It's not a bad movie. It's a slow movie. It takes a while to get going. The end result, I guess, does kind of justify the means. But once again, I'm a married man. The moment you are at my door, understand, I'm a loyal married man. I will fucking chest kick you if you cross me. I will stomp your head in. I don't care, man, woman, or child. You're not my friend. And in this case, Ellen Page is 65 pounds soaking wet. and he is tortured by her the entire movie.
But how did he get tied up?
Well, she drugs him and then hog ties him.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have no control.
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying that you would kick her in the chest, but she drugged you. So how did you get?
Would never
Like,
get close
where's it
enough.
gonna-
Would never get close enough to drug me.
So I
No,
I
you
didn't
don't-
watch the movie. So how did he get drugged?
I think she slipped something into like his drink or something.
All right. So you don't think that would happen to you? In any
Not
form?
a fucking chance in hell. First off, I don't know you. I don't offer you a beverage. Second off, you offer me a beverage. I don't know you. I don't fucking take it. You're not gonna get. For one, like I said, I'm a loyal married man. You don't get within 6 feet of me. It's COVID, bitch. Okay.
Well, right now it's COVID. Yeah.
I live my life since birth.
Before that.
Since birth with a 6 feet barrier. I'm a big guy. The idea is to stay far fucking away from me. I walk around with this face. I don't walk around going, "Hey, friends." The idea behind me is
Dude.
stay the fuck away from me pre-COVID.
I think you would get drugged at the vape shop.
Nope. How would that happen? Explain to me.
Hey, great ashtray there. That's the ashtray I'd pick. And then you'd be like, yeah, your defenses would drop.
I don't bring my vape into the store.
No. I'm talking about, it's just like somebody would just like fucking find a way to like,
But in this movie, she shows up at his door.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the movie. So
the whole concept is she shows up at his door. There's this weird kind of cat and mouse dialogue that happens. He ends up being tied to a table, and he thinks she's performing surgery, removing his testicles.
Ooh.
Is the end climax, and then she leaves, and he basically gets out of the tie down and realizes that what he was watching on the TV she was showing him was medical footage. She wasn't actually cutting him. And he's fine. Mm-hmm. But the whole idea is a friend of hers he raped and I think was involved in getting rid of her body. And Ellen Page has come back to exact revenge on behalf of her friend. So, spoiler alert, by the end of the movie, he ends up hanging himself. Because
he's a piece of shit. He's
physically okay.
He's a piece of shit.
But
okay.
Now she's broken him down and he's sad by the fact that he's admitted his crime. It's worth a watch, but if you don't like Ellen Page, you're just gonna want to chest kick her the whole movie, and I don't like her.
Yeah, well, yeah, she is kind of like
she's a lady boy.
I don't know. Yeah,
she's the worst part of Umbrella Academy. She just fucking is.
I don't know. It's debatable.
Who do you think's the worst part of Umbrella Academy?
Nothing, but I think she shouldn't be in it. But she is good at what she does.
I don't think she's okay. She was more annoying. Every scene she had on camera in that show, and this could be writing instead of acting, I'll give you that. But it's very much like, fuck her. You're the reason for the apocalypse. Fuck you.
Why make it the center? Why, I don't know, why make her the center?
Yeah, like that's the other thing. Like rather than exploring everybody else's powers to the fullest, you make the first season about her. And she's a lame duck. Anyways, next movie. We don't really need to say anything. Yeah, Death Sentence. We kind of just went over that.
Never heard of this movie.
Yeah, I think it's somebody Kevin.
Can we talk about this movie in length?
So basically, the movie is about this guy who's reading a book one day. You know what it's about. We just talked about it. Go fuck yourselves. All right.
Let's start over. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, we'll take another day break. All right. So this is Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. The original trilogy, starring Umi Marie, I think. She's actually a pretty great actress.
I actually avoided this movie on purpose.
It's a dark film.
It's a good movie.
But I avoided all of them on purpose because I hate people fucking telling me what I should watch. So
this movie,
I should watch this movie.
This movie's weird because there's a couple rape scenes, and one of them is on her, and one of them is on one of the perpetrators that were behind her rape, with I believe it was a high heel or something. So it gets a little fucking dark in this
rough.
one. Yeah, it's a rough movie. And this also has the Russian guy from John Wick is the other co-star of the movie.
I'm fucking bummed out that he passed away. He was a good actor.
Dude, he is the best part beyond the action scenes. Like, as far as acting, he's the best actor in John Wick. He's just great in that movie.
And who is that guy?
I don't remember his name.
Something Nyquist or
I'll be seeing you, John. Like,
Okay.
I mean, you know. But yeah, so it's worth a check out. Just it's along the lines of like 8mm level of darkness. It's a dark movie.
And they did like what, 3 or 4 movies?
3.
There's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just made they made the Daniel Craig remake, and then they made, I think, a sequel to that one with new actors just recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem is the first one was made by David Fincher, so it's like you're not going to hit his style. So no matter what you do, that sequel is going to be horribly unbalanced to the tone of the first one.
Okay.
This one I've actually seen. Lewis, you should be familiar with this one. This is the crew that I believe is also behind things like You're Next and that crew, the Ty West crew, as I call them. This one's called Blue.
I haven't seen this movie though.
If you're looking at the image,
Blue Ruin.
this actor without the beard and everything, you'd recognize him in a couple of these indie horror movies we like. Here's basically the premise of it, since this is, I believe, is the last one on there, so I'll go into it a little. Many of the films on the list, blah, 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 even if the person seeking revenge ultimately perishes himself. Not so in Jeremy Saulner's Blue Ruin. The 2013 film posits nested tales of vengeance, each one begetting more vengeance, a seemingly infinite chain of violence. Remember the saying, when you seek revenge, you should dig 2 graves. Well, Blue Ruin suggests 2 isn't enough. I like this movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I gotta check it out again, because now this has piqued my interest again. But I'm almost positive these guys are connected to the indie horror film circuit. The guys behind this one.
2013, right?
Yeah, let me look into it real quick too, because I remember seeing this movie and then later on finding out they were connected to one of the indie horror movie creators.
Well, the main the director, he did Green Room.
Yeah, he's all, but he doesn't have. He has a Murder Party. That's what Murder Party. If you've never seen Murder Party, it is a delightful horror comedy.
I remember that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
When we were working at Blockbuster, I remember that shit.
Yeah, that's the one movie that when I looked it up, I was like, oh shit. Green Room's also a really good movie, but I wouldn't classify it horror. I don't know why people do. But yeah, no, this movie's pretty fucked up, actually. I'd recommend it personally if you're okay with it's not so much low budget as it is indie, I'll say. But the actor who's in it, he's awesome in Murder Party. Like, that's where I first saw him, and I was like, oh shit, cool. He's also in Green Room, the actor from this movie. And he was in another one that I thought, I don't remember what movie it was, but he crosses over into another one. I don't remember what, though. He was in that movie The Hunt, apparently, the one about the liberals hunting the Republicans. Because that's realistic, okay. Yeah, okay. Anti-gun liberals are hunting pro-gun conservatives. Okay. That's viable. Hey, we're anti-gun, but we made a movie about shooting the opposite political party to death. Okay, that's not hypocritical. Anyways, I digress. Check it out. This one's not bad. It's one of those ones where it's a rough film. And it really is kind of like the character's slow descent into madness, but he almost like accepts it. Like he's okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the last one on the list, the shit list, as we, like I said, lovingly call it.
The shit list.
Don't believe we missed any. Now, everybody remember to check out Lady Snowblood. Let us know how it is.
There are some movies that should have been on this list. Like Upgrade should have been on this list.
Upgrade's a good one. That's a weird one.
I would argue like Death Wish and the Equalizer should have been on this list.
Equalizer's not a revenge. Well, yeah, because the Equalizer 2 is a revenge movie. Equalizer 1 is just an awesome movie.
I'm trying to think what else could have been on this list.
I mean, let's see. Payback is a good choice.
There maybe Kill Bill, but only because of what it's about. But
Kill Bill should absolutely be on this list because the entire premise is her seeking revenge for the actions of the people before. Django's a revenge movie.
Okay.
When you break it down, that's a revenge movie. Let's see. Good revenge movies. I mean, the problem is I don't know why these, like, I understand that, like, Korean movies delve into the subject matter a lot, but I just don't understand why, like, most of this list was Korean movies.
Yeah, there was, what, like 3?
Yeah, I don't know.
4.
I don't fully get that one, to be honest with you.
Well, we didn't create the list, so.
Yeah, that's why it's the shit list.
Shit list.
Some would argue the second half of Training Day is a revenge movie.
Whatever.
Well, the second half of Patriot is a revenge movie at that point.
No, the first half hour goes by and then he goes into murder mode. I love that movie.
Would Die Hard be considered a?
No, because there's never they never do anything to him that he's seeking revenge for. He's always just trying to save his family or friends or all that.
Okay.
Shit. An interesting thing about the Die Hard movie. So Die Hard 5, when it released in theaters, came out rated R, but there wasn't a whole lot of blood and gore. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in the movie. She's his daughter carrying over from Die Hard 4. And she drops him off at the airport and everything when he's going to Russia. And in the unrated cut, they cut her character completely. He drives himself to the airport or he takes a cab or something. They remove her from the movie completely, and I don't understand why.
Interesting.
All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Please check out previous episodes, live specials out there. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us we're assholes, whatever you'd like to do. At this point,
also, is there anything you would like to say about somebody who did some artwork for us?
Oh yeah. So as you can see on the screen that you're watching, that's our new logo. That was done by the same artist who did the initial logo for the Nerditude Entertainment brand. At Twitter, you can hit him up on Rob Macabre. Other than that, he is doing prints now. His shop is up and operational. So
thank you, Rob.
Thank you. I mean, they're
thanks,
beautifully designed artwork, and any further artwork you see on this channel are going to be from him. So keep an eye out for that, and go support him. He's on Twitch as Rob Macabre as well. Does a lot of his art streams and everything. So we do encourage you to go check out him.
Rob made me look fucking better than I've ever looked before, man.
Yeah, he texted me and he's like, "You're gonna be mad at me," and I'm like,
"I love what he did. I love what he did."
I'm like, "I'm gonna be mad at you," and he's like, "Yeah, Alex's face looks better than yours. The actual drawing is better." And so you know what my exact text was? Good, he needs it more.
Fuck you.
But
he made me look. He made me look better than I've ever fucking looked, man. I like it. I fucking love it. I love it.
As you can see,
I would like to thank Rob. I would like to thank Rob.
Lewis is literally the drummer from ZZ Top. He's the only one without a beard.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Lewis, Anthony, that fucking mole. He still got your fucking mole, man. And he made it was all you. And you see that fucking mole. And that's part of you. That's part of you, man.
Little bit of trivia. Frank Beard is the drummer from ZZ Top's name. He doesn't have a beard, but the other two do.
That's really weird.
Useless fucking trivia you get from me. Isn't it great? So I'm signing off. Until next week. We will see you guys next week with End of Watch and Event Horizon. We are working through the
Event Horizon.
I gotta get you my login, fellas. I got it on 4K.
Pass it out.
Do you want to say it publicly or no?
What's that? Oh, the login?
Your login.
Yeah. The password is 1, 2, 3,
maybe 4. Oh my god! I have the same fucking password.
That's the kind of password an idiot would have on his luggage.
Holy shit!
Remind me to change the password on my luggage. I'm signing out, guys. Have a great week. I'm gonna leave it to the boys. The boys, goddamn.
The boys, that's us. That's us.
You. You know what?
That's us.
You know what?
Hey.
Fuck these guys. I'm signing out, and I'm gonna cut it so you don't get sign-offs.